Okay.
Let's try that.
Okay. Oh, there we go. Happy. There we go. Very good.
With many apologies, I always seem to forget something. This week, I've forgotten to turn the microphone on.
It's a simple case of non-microphone.
Yeah. I don't really know why you have a microphone on and off button as well as a volume up and down. I would just have the volume up and down.
Okay.
Because obviously it can't be my fault. Dan was just saying, hello and welcome to VCQ, everyone.
Hello.
Apologies for the no audio. Dan was just saying that he saw Midnight Oil this week.
I did. So, yeah, I was doing my... And Midnight Oil were a massive band for me growing up in Australia.
Thank you to the 18,000 people who've said, I can't hear you.
There we go.
You saved us.
You did. Thank you. Yeah, so Martin Rotzi and Jim Magini, the two guitar thing that they do is just extraordinary. And first time I ever heard a CE1 used in anger. First time I ever heard a Vox AC30 cranked.
Okay, so really significant for you.
Really big band for me.
Dan was sending me all these things going, oh, Midnight Oil, Midnight Oil, Midnight Oil. And I'm like, yep, nope. I know they had a single, but they... Yeah.
I saw you.
Yeah.
Yeah, right.
They Beds Are Burning aside, they weren't in the UK what they were in Australia by all accounts.
They were massive in Australia for decades. So I think very politically active. All their songs have a Peter Garrett, who I met, he was such a lovely guy, and I must have seen them a dozen times, right, in Australia. They were as good as I've ever seen them.
Oh, brilliant!
They honestly, the Roundhouse is such a great venue. Obviously, where we went and saw Crowded House.
Only Australians and Kiwis allowed to play there.
There we go.
Yeah.
But they were amazing, and I had no idea, but I got an email through from our mate Marcus, who introduced me to Martin's tech, and he used a G3. I had no idea.
Oh, nice.
He said, come down, and I'm like, I said, do you want to film something? He's like, no, just come down. Okay, great.
So one of your favourite bands uses your gear?
I had no idea.
That's lovely.
Yeah, it was really lovely. Anyway.
Which also means they bought it.
They did.
How good is that?
Great. Everyone buys it. So
he gives it to everyone else. But
yeah, exactly. But
he doesn't.
What was beautiful, and I'm thinking about doing a vlog on it, because I really saw, and it reminded me of a lot of things that are sort of like, oh, okay, this is why that two guitar things work, and this is why, sonically,
right,
what they were doing was so different. But there are moments when they're doing vastly different things, and moments where they were just banging out exactly the same thing. It was so powerful, but in the context of the music and in the context of the songs, the textures and everything underneath what Peter Garrett does. And if you've ever seen Midnight Oil live, he's full on, out there doing his thing, and and he's 7 foot tall, and it's so charismatic and energetic on stage. But he can only do that, and he can only project that energy because of all the stuff that's going on behind him. Rob Hurst, amazing drummer. So it was just really, really magic.
Nice. I'm glad you enjoyed it. You seem very enthused by it, Daniel.
I've got to tell you something, though.
This is viewers' comments and questions, by the way.
We'll get to it. Sorry.
Anyone who's new, this happens every Monday, and we will answer some questions in a bit.
We will do.
Welcome. Thanks for being with us. So
at the end of the gig, Martin says, do you like a glass of wine? And I was having a chat to Martin, and Martin introduced me to his wife. This is my wife. I said, oh, hi, I'm Dan. She goes, I know who you are.
No way.
I'm like, what? And Martin is a big fan of the show.
No way.
And he was really grateful. It's he was telling me about his favourite episodes and the Kincaid guitar, and this is so. I'm sort of sat there, sort of dumbfounded. I'm trying to say thank you. I'm just going, sort of, it doesn't compute. But he was saying, how important it was through lockdown and all that sort of stuff.
Oh, amazing.
It was really, really lovely. But his wife was like, yes, I know who you are. I've seen your face many times. It was mind-blowing. So that was really lovely.
Oh, well, hello to Martin and Jim and all the Midnight Oil guys then.
Yeah.
How cool. I'm glad you're enthused by it, Dan.
Yeah, Matt, I'm feeling really enthused at the moment for a number of reasons.
Well, let's see what we can do about that.
Let's see what we can do. Yeah.
I'll tell you about my week, mate. It was terrible. No, it wasn't. I had a good week too. Okay, we'll say hello to Sound Propeller Patrick. I'm looking forward to the puppet show, he says. Anyway, Mark Knight is here. Jack Duxbury's here. Hello,
Hey,
Jack.
buddy.
He says hello from the scientifically proven middle of the road, Guildford. Rob Brady, who's got the bigger dressing room, you or the puppets?
If I said it once, I've said it 100 times.
Andreas Jonsson, many thanks to BV Ninja for doing the moderating as always. BV, thank you so much. Ramada Wakefield, Pete Richardson is in the Ramada Wakefield. Pete, I hope you're just soaking in everything that
The Ramada offers.
medium level hotel has to offer.
Beware the minibar.
I stayed in a hotel this week in where did I go? I went to get my Strat refretted by Matt at Monty's. I have made a video. It was flipping fascinating. The man is a genius. The guitar is better than I could ever have imagined.
I've just texted Matt to say I'm bringing this in to get done. Book me in now before that video comes out.
Okay.
Otherwise, it'll be Johnny all over again, where I can't get to see him for the next 10 years.
Dan's just played it. It's transformed, isn't it?
Unbelievable.
Yeah, I filmed the whole thing pretty much, so you'll get to see that. Much to my surprise, I said to him, "Oh, do you mind if I film a few bits?" And he's like, "Film it all." I said, "Won't it take ages?" And he said, "No, turn up at about 7:30 in the morning and you'll be gone by 2 p.m. And I was like, holy moly. And he's like, out, in, done, perfect. Literally perfect. It's a stunning job. Thank you, Matt, from the bottom of my ballsack, I would say.
Yeah.
Sorry about that for everyone who's not interested in that kind of thing.
Actually, I'll just quickly say as well, a massive thanks to Alex, who is Martin's Tech, for facilitating everything on Saturday night. You know, there was a really special moment for me. So, Alex, thank you so much, buddy. I really appreciate it.
Eagle Ray Rob, thank you for the podcast reminder. I did actually hit record before we turned the cameras on, which is why I forgot to turn my audio on. It's just too many things.
There's too many things.
Yeah. I'm only interested in monotasking these days, and I can't even do that. Right, let's see where we are with the super chats then, because we may well already be problematic.
Wow.
So a couple more minutes.
Okay. Obviously, Friday's video was amazing, and I can see all the questions about it. So we'll get to those. But man, what an honour to have Andy Timmons in doing his thing. And it was so. I mean, someone mentioned that they said, you know, obviously it was emotional, and I had a moment. And when Andy was doing that thing, when you hear the audio of it, it's spectacular. But if you have a look at the decibel meter, he was doing that at 102 dB.
Yeah, well, 107 sometimes.
And that was, you know, just to hear it audibly is one thing, but to actually have that sort of going through your body like that, it's like,
yeah,
what an experience.
It's pretty amazing, actually.
Yeah.
Pretty amazing. And I'm just glad, we are glad that it translated into the world, because sometimes those things don't necessarily go over quite the same as we experience them in the room, but judging by the comments we got over the weekend, it feels like it probably did.
Yeah. Just a little point as well about the audio. Andy's guitar, not a single plug-in.
Yeah.
Pretty great.
We've never used loads of plugins, but we do some post EQing and stuff like that, and I have used some plug-in preamps in the past, but we've just in the last few weeks moved to no plugins or extraneous EQ whatsoever. So what you're hearing is speaker, microphone preamp, computer recording machine, and that's it.
Yep.
With the exception of a little bit of parallel bus compression from our new SSL Bus Plus parallel compressor, which is it's just a tiny bit just to heave it up a bit, what you lose
in all that stuff.
Yeah, it makes it and it's, oh my goodness me,
that's lovely.
So happy to be plug-in-less now anyway.
Yeah Brilliant.
Right, I'm going to turn the super chats off.
Oh, well done.
Because I think we've got loads, and Dan and I have got Meat Feast to get to. Not that we want to hurry it along, we just want to make sure we answer the questions in a thorough
timely
manner.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, it's hot here. For those of you not in the UK, It's not usually hot here. It's usually grey and raining is what it normally is doing. So the sun is out. It is hot for us. And therefore everyone's gone completely stark raving bonkers.
I'm just going to put my new guitar strap on.
Oh yes, we've got some news. If you go to that Pedal Show store, we've launched a new brand, as it were, and it's called Affected.
Look, there's a...
It's very nice. That's why we're like completely QVCing it up to the max.
do we have a caller on the line? Yes, I think we've got a caller on the line.
How much for this lovely Denby dinner service? You can eat your food off it and everything. So yeah, we've done Affected because not everyone wants that Pedal Show merch. Although we're really pleased if people do want that Pedal Show merch because it is the predominant way we pay for the show. We wanted to do some stuff that was working with craftspeople and artisans who do really, really lovely things. And where we started was the guitar straps.
Yeah.
Just beautiful handmade guitar straps by Heisterkamp down in Devon, and they are making for us. So we have some of those. We did some teas. We got some wool beanies.
Yep.
Using British and Irish wools and linens, and just small independent businesses who craft things in a beautiful way. And we may well extend that out to a few bits of electronicery at some point, so we might do some custom runs of pedals and some really cool stuff. But yeah, we just wanted to broaden it a bit and do something slightly out of the ordinary.
Yeah.
And it is called Affected, and you can see it on that Pedal Show store now.
Indeed. But the straps are lovely.
Dan's got the 2.5-inch leather strap there.
There we go.
I have the 3-inch brown leather strap.
Very nice.
Was that good? Is that enough sales?
It's very good.
Yeah.
There's the bag.
Oh yeah, and when you buy it, it looks like this. It's really nice.
Ooh. Comes in a lovely bag, and it's got a little leather tagger on it. It's still got the old tagger on it.
Still got a tagger on it.
So it's there you go. It's enough. It's enough of that one.
Stop.
Don't point.
Obviously,
it mustn't be played.
Me and Dan have got nothing to do with this. That's all Catherine.
It's all Catherine, of course.
That's why it looks nice. Good. Right, patrons, quick reminder, July's pedal giveaway closes tonight at midnight, so if you were a current patron at the time the email went out, you have until midnight to enter, and the giveaway is a Love Pedal Amp 11.
From Mick
from my own
Taylor,
private,
personal reserve.
From my own private,
Private reserve.
Check your spam. If you weren't a patron at the time the competition went live, you wouldn't have got the email. You will get the next one. Experience days, we put some new experience day dates up last week, and we were stunned how they sold out in 6 minutes. So as much as we'd love to do as many as possible, there's only a finite number we can do. So sorry to everyone who missed out and who's disappointed. We did get yelled at quite a lot, but there are limited places.
Yeah.
There's not much we can do about it. But thank you to everyone who has bought a ticket and who will come along and experience the experience days.
Yeah, really look forward to seeing you guys. Yeah. It's a load of fun. We love it.
We were trepidatious about it when we kicked it off. But I actually really look forward to everyone.
Yeah, me too.
It's a real happy day. It's always a good day. So
it's wonderful.
We are trying to figure out ways where we can maybe involve more people and therefore make the access a bit better. But it's pretty tiny here. There's only so many people we can get in the door. So
yeah,
good.
TPS weekends at Butlins.
I'm up for it, mate. Imagine how brilliant that would be.
It'd be amazing.
Yeah,
it'd be great. Get Andy over.
Yeah,
get the band back together. It'd be brilliant fun.
I'll get one of those garden sprayer units filled with wine. And it's like a Camelback, but for professionals.
No, you get one of those hats, but with 2 bottles of Bolly on the side.
Right, let's stampede to the questions, shall we?
Brilliant.
Let's stampede to the questions. Here we go. First in this week is Plexico, Duncan.
Oh, mate.
Surprise, surprise.
Legend.
Often first. Greetings, D&M. What great shows. How has Andy made you rethink your own gear?
can't see my gear when Andy's playing.
It's
too misty. That's a really great question.
The more interesting thing is, how did Andy's experience here affect his choice of gear?
Yeah,
because
more on that to come.
He's played a few things here and he's gone, oh.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
We're fortunate enough that we've spent time with Andy, like in the flesh, and we've been, like, from the very first time we heard Andy play, it was so moving.
Yeah.
And that's something that's we've sort of carried with us. And Andy's always been, with that stuff, with being able to project emotion through playing, Andy's always been a high watermark for us.
Yeah, without doubt.
So it's not surprising to us that when we're in a room and playing through stuff, it's always moving. One thing that I find Andy and the really great guys are able to do, they're able to recognize when they've got something special.
Yeah.
At the same time, they're able to explore stuff, but they explore gear without getting emotional about it.
Yeah.
They can explore something and they can go, yep, I like this for that, and I not so much for this. Whereas I still get fizzy and I'm like, ah! And it's really hard for me to separate the emotion from,
It's a fine line, isn't it? Because I think with most of us, you look at the new amp or the new guitar or the new pedal and you go, if I get this, I'll be able to do that.
Yeah, yeah.
I think with people like Andy, and when I say people like Andy, with Andy, because there's no one like Andy, he is truly unique, like
Indeed.
all the greats are. He doesn't think about it like that. He's like, if I get this, then I'll be able to do that. He starts with, I want this to come out. And in order for this to be able to come out, the gear needs to work.
Yeah, yeah.
And it needs to be the conduit for what it is that I've already got.
Yep.
And we watched him do that a few times over the week, which was really special. So to answer your question, Duncan, I think I've gone the other way. I don't think Andy hasn't affected me gear choices whatsoever. The way he's affected me is have confidence to be who you are and play and let it out and don't do anything else.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a great way to put it.
Because I don't know about you guys, but when I'm playing, I'm often in the head of somebody else. I'm often thinking, oh, I want to sound like Robin Ford, or I want to sound like Stevie Ray, or I want to sound like whatever. Two things I am going to do, largely as a direct result of hanging out with Andy. I'd already started my guitar lessons, but I'm going to double down on that. And secondly, just have the resolve to play what it is that you play and try and get out of everyone else's heads, which is, it's a big ask, isn't it? But I think that's what we both took from him, is to just play what you feel.
Yeah. So that hang that Andy and I had in the morning, we had a guitar lesson, and his jazz stuff is so on point. Like, he could go out with an arch top and go and do a jazz gig, and you go, man, you're an amazing jazz guitar player.
Yeah.
But what Andy does is he acquires knowledge that he can puts in his playing, and then the things that he connects with are the things that'll come out when he's doing his own thing. Yeah. All that harmony is there, but never once will Andy play something and you think, oh, that's clever. He only ever uses that to enforce melodically what he's doing because he wants to convey an emotion. Yeah. And that's a really big deal.
Yeah, it's a particularly big deal so I'm, while I am amazed at a lot of technique-led guitar players, and the kind of people I'm talking about, and I have utmost respect for their ability, their musicality, and all the rest of it. I don't really want to listen to that most of the time.
Yeah.
I don't even want to shut Andy down by suggesting he's in that camp. I listen to Andy play all day, every day.
Yeah, sure.
And I want to listen to it because I'm not hearing the technique, I'm hearing the music.
Yeah.
And I know everyone's different, and I know each player brings something different to the game, which you may or may not, sort of slot in with. But I could literally listen to him for hours and hours and hours and never get bored.
Yeah. Because you're not hearing guitar playing.
No.
You're hearing music.
He's astonishing.
Yeah.
He's astonishing.
So that's what we took from him. Have confidence to do your own thing and think about the songs and the melody and stuff, and really, really wonderful.
Yeah. Sorry, there was something there I just saw in the chat and I managed to... Oh, it was from Enox Eonzian. The Andy episode was peak YouTube. Congrats. Did you manage to record a show with Simon Jarrett? Always a treat to have him on the show. We did, and it will be this Friday. So Simon Jarrett coming up this Friday.
Yep.
As if Dan and I needed any more amazing guitar players in our lives.
Man. Yeah. Any chance we get to get Simon on, just to sit and watch him, listen to him do his thing. It's wonderful.
Iron Wolf 1776. Just wanted to let you know how much I enjoy Friday's show. Please keep the puppet show clean. Thank you. And so I stopped. Termination points.
That's very good.
It's my second And So I Stopped album out on Friday. New track on YouTube. And then today and Wednesday. Thank you, D&M, for all the inspiration and infotainment. This is a guy called Tony, who's been with Tony Brooks, who's been a pedal show viewer since day one. And his musical project is And So I Stopped. Please check him out.
Yeah, wonderful. Thanks, Tony.
Thanks, Tony. Hope you're well, mate. Hey, Legends, says Square Wave Symphonies. My band, Raw Sienna, just released its first single last Friday. Feels great.
Sienna.
I'm going to finish this, and then I'm going to tell you something that you did not know.
Okay.
Well, maybe you did. I did not know.
Right.
And if you knew... Anyway, whatever. He says, it feels great to finally have something out there. I've been super excited for the past few days. Much love from Alex. Okay, everyone. Alex, check out Raw Sienna. Raw Sienna. On wherever. Google it. Hopefully you'll find him. Thank you, Alex, and good luck.
Yeah,
right.
good luck, mate.
Right. Name me all the guitarists in Thin Lizzy.
Far out.
Well, some of them.
Scott Gorham. Still Got the Blues for You. What's his name?
Gary Moore. Brian Robertson.
Yeah.
The other ones. The original guy.
Yeah.
Midge-Ure.
No
Midge-Ure
way.
toured with Thin Lizzy. And there's video of him, and they're doing The Boys Are Back in Town, and they're doing Jailbreak or something, and he's there playing all the harmony parts. I watched a Phil Lynott documentary the other night.
Never in a million years would I put those two together.
Who knew Midge-Ure was in
amazing.
Thin Lizzy for a minute there? It's a really nice documentary, actually.
Amazing.
He was... what a flipping talent that guy was.
Yeah.
Well, they all were, but...
Yeah. Quincy Jones on keys at one point.
Yeah, Stevie Wonder driving the tour bus. No. David Browning. Hello, David. Good morning, gents. I tried a wet-dry rig on Friday at practice. It was epic. But my Phase 90 and MXR Poly Blue Octave had an extreme buzz when I kicked them on, and that made it unusable. Any suggestions?
So you need to make sure that the second amplifier is isolated. Really, really important. Otherwise, there are things like that can throw up. There'll be an earth loop there, but depending on gain and that sort of stuff, it can make it more audible. So you need to make sure that the amp is isolated. You need to make sure that the power supply is isolated as well.
Yeah.
So check the audio isolation and check the power isolation to the pedals.
That's what it will be. You'll have a ground loop there somewhere.
Yeah.
The easiest way to do the amp thing is to get an AB box or an ABY box, which has on the second output isolation and phase reversal options.
Yes.
Radial do one called the Big Shot.
Yeah.
Dan does one called the AB Baby. There's plenty of AB boxes out there that do it. Just make sure that it has that phase reversal option on one of the outputs and isolation on one of the outputs.
Yeah.
And what he just said about your pedal board, you must have proper full isolation on every pedal.
Power-wise.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We've had it on experience days where people have come in and they brought in their pedal board and they've gone, look, I've got an isolated power supply and it's still buzzing. And you have to sort of deliver the bad news. It's like, well, not every power supply that says it's properly isolated is. How do you know the difference?
Yeah, well, you've got to test it and just see if they are truly isolated. Actually, Gordon Rankin, I don't know if Gordon's on, but I have wonderful full-on nerdy chats with Gordon. Gordon's an amazing engineer. It's like, yeah, so many of the things that say they're isolated, he said, just aren't. So it's a thing. So yeah.
Yeah. So yeah. Hopefully that answers the question. Good luck, David. Hopefully your wet dry rig will bring you plenty of inspiration as it does me and Dan.
Indeed. A lot of people saying John Sykes. Yeah, John Sykes, awesome guitar player.
Yes,
was it
indeed.
Lizzy? Yeah.
Eric Bell is who I was trying to think about. He was the original.
Right.
The original guitar player. Yeah. Eric Bell.
The Bell is back in town.
Mosrite. North California wine country in the house. I like that. It's a new pedal day. I heard from Simon Jarrett on Friday that my Maiden preamp was ready to ship.
Lovely.
I got an email from Analog Man I've been waiting for 4 years and 7 months.
Oh, nice. Nice. Very good. King of Tone.
Things are going to get fun. Hopefully you'll enjoy Friday's show, Mosrite, where Simon is with us and he's showing us the new Jester, which is essentially a Maiden and a...
Juggler.
Yeah, sorry, Juggler, you're correct. Dan is correct. The new Juggler version 3, which has the Maiden D or the Maiden and the Page DS in one.
Yeah.
And you can use it as a preamp and you can use it as a pedal, and it is really spectacularly cool.
Yeah, so good.
So, yeah. Wastel 10. Hi, D&M. I got a Gator G-Bus 8 power supply I'm very happy with. Mm-hmm. But I've got 8 pedals on the board and no 9-volt socket left. Anything to think about adding another one?
Right, so it depends on the current that you're drawing for the other pedals. You can, if you've got, right. The only reason I mention this is I don't know off the top of my head other things that do it, but there must be other things that do this. So Gigrig makes a little thing called an isolator that takes a 9-volt in and gives you 4 isolated outputs. However, you need to make sure that the input, that what you're powering it with, so if you've got an output from the G-Bus, that's got enough current to deliver the current that you need to those 4 pedals. Yeah. So that will do it.
It's called an isolator.
Yeah.
Takes one thing, makes it 4, and keeps them isolated. But what he just said, Ainsley called me on Thursday, Ainsley Lister called me on Thursday with this exact problem.
Okay.
He's flying to Sweden. He's got a little 4-out power supply, 5 pedals. What should he do?
Right.
I said, what pedals are they?
Mm-hmm.
Take your least milliamp pedal and run that one off a battery.
Right, okay.
Because that will be isolated.
Yep.
And one of his overdrives is only 8 milliamps. So as long as you don't leave it plugged in,
it'll last for ages.
Battery's going to last for ages. Yep. So there's one option.
That's the simplest option. And there are people that still do that with their batteries, and they work great.
But what he actually did was daisy chain 2 of them, which is the least satisfactory option. But he said it worked great. No noise, no problem.
There you go.
But what he just said about current draw, so the good idea is to do it on your overdrive pedals because they will require the least current. So if that power supply you've got puts out, let's say 200 milliamps per outlet, you need to make sure that whatever you've got daisy chained on that outlet requires no more than 200 milliamps and preferably a lot less than that.
Yeah.
And if it's 2 overdrive pedals, it's going to probably be less than 100 milliamps.
Yeah, you'd hope.
It might even be less than 20 milliamps.
Yeah.
So, yeah. But you don't want to be putting your timeline and your digital reverb on that because it won't power them. So,
yep.
Good luck.
Oh, Murphy chimes in and says, I got to hear Dave Kilminster at the Roger Waters gig on Saturday in Toronto. Probably the best guitar tone I've ever heard live. Awesome.
Oh, wow.
I can't wait to see that. I haven't seen that yet.
Well, dear Daniel made his pedalboard.
And Murphy says, well done. It was an awesome sound. Thank you, mate. But I've been doing Dave's boards for years, since he was with Stephen Wilson. And I am yet to see him play with Roger Waters. So when he plays in the UK, I'm going to go and finish because basically the video that we made about him building the board, then we're going to go and actually see it in the flesh and finish that. Because the video we're doing with him is how someone who is playing, playing for these absolutely heroic stadium tours, all that stuff. It's about the inception of the board to right through to the, rehearsal stage to the massive epic grandness that it is, and all the stages in between. So that'll be really fun.
Yeah, that's amazing. It's a different sport, isn't it? At that point.
Yeah.
Somebody is saying, Jeff Kent is saying, can you please upload as a single video that epic Andy piece that brought the house to tears? I'm trying to learn it. Seems so simple, but gosh, it's hard to convey that heart. Thumbs up, gang. There is some more Andy playing that we didn't put out in that video. One of which he does a chord melody arrangement of Smile, the famous song, and it's oh my god, it's just unbelievable. We'll have to put it out without any ads on it because it will cue a copyright strike, so we just need to get around that, but it will go out, and we'll stick the other thing on there as well. We'll just put a compendium of some of the stuff he played.
Yeah, beautiful.
Question for Mick, says SEO, why do you prefer relatively hotter, higher output pickups? I definitely don't, SEO. I definitely prefer low output pickups.
Ditto.
Yeah, I don't know quite where you've got that from. And there is a misconception about DC resistance as well. So it might be that, for example, when I changed the pickups in my Casino, the guitar sounded way hotter, way brighter, way more resonant, way more everything. But I rather suspect the DC resistance of the new pickups wasn't that different from the old ones.
Yeah.
It's not about the output in terms of DC resistance. It's about so much more than that.
Indeed.
But I definitely don't. Of all the Strats we played in the Strat show, the one I like least is the one with the highest output pickups.
Yeah.
And then it basically goes back from there. So, no, I definitely don't like high output pickups. In fact, I really dislike high output pickups.
Yeah.
Generally.
Yeah.
For me, it's too much pickup, not enough guitar.
Yeah.
Is kind of how I feel it.
Yeah.
And not enough headroom.
Yeah. I think it's like, I remember when I first saw a Steinberger, which was like no headstock, no body, burger, all neck and pickups, and the EMGs in that guitar was a perfect choice because you weren't relying on anything to resonate. You're just relying on the pickups to do their thing, and they worked really, really well. And then it's everything. Think of the Steinberger with active pickups down one end, and the vintage 61 Strat at the other, and all balances and shades thereof in between. Yeah.
And it comes down to individual playing style, because obviously lots of people get truly fantastic sound out of hot output pickups. So it's not a universal thing. It's just, I guess, what you're used to and where you feel happiest. Dylan Thomas. Dylan, thank you for your super chat. I'll just make sure there is or is not a question. No. Ah, yes, Dylan Thomas. I just got a Kingsley Constable, says Dylan. Nice. And I'm running it through my Fry Power Station. Can you share your thoughts on abandoning conventional amps in favour of running pedal preamps into a power amp?
That was on the show just a couple of weeks ago, wasn't it?
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't do it forever, but I certainly did it for the Andy Timmons gigs. I did exactly that. I've got a Mesa 50/50 stereo power amp into which I ran a couple of Kingsley preamps, and that was my rig, and flipping brilliant it was too.
Unreal.
Yeah.
Unreal.
So you've got a couple of advantages of doing that. One, if you have to travel anywhere and use anyone else's backline, if that amplifier has an effects loop return, such as a Hot Rod Deluxe or a Marshall DSL or most modern amps, you're going to be much closer to the sound you like and are familiar with than having to go into the front end of an unfamiliar amp, because you've got all your preamps off the board. Something that we discussed with Simon, which will be on this Friday's show, so much of, certainly in my world, what I love about guitar amps clicked into place when we were having that whole discussion.
Right.
I really love guitar amps that have got massive high headroom power amps.
Yeah.
And the majority of the sound is created in the pre and pushing the phase inverter a little bit. But I tend not to like amps where the amp is breaking in the power stage.
Sure.
Like little amps, I'm just not a fan of that. I like recording them. I understand what the sounds are good for. Definitely can use those sounds, but in terms of my own playing, so all of which is to say that your approach suits me very well. You?
So the two amps that I have gravitated towards for a long time, the DC30 and my Lazy J20, I did some measurements of what's going on in the preamps and why everything sounds rubbish in the loop of them. And it's because what was coming out of the voltage of the preamps was incredible, like so hot. And what that does, if you think of the phase inverter as another gain stage, and that preamp hitting that phase inverter like that creates a whole another range of harmonics, and that
big part of the sound of that amp.
Big part of the sound. And so because as soon as you reduce the preamp level in the matchless, it all changes and all the harmonics are gone. So yeah, super interesting. So I love that. It's a sound that I'm very used to, a sound that I've been I've had for a long time, and I really like it. However, a couple of things that we've been playing lately, like the boogie rig that you used,
yep.
The 2-rock thing, a couple of I plug into those things, and there's something about the purity of that stuff. I'm not relying so much on the preamp smashing into the phase inverter to create those harmonics. There's something else going on.
With a traditional amp, it's got to be in the spot, hasn't it?
Yeah.
And if it's not in the spot, it doesn't work.
So what I find is with Mix Rig, he can turn the volume up and down, and it's really consistent.
Pretty linear, yeah.
Whereas me, I've got to have it at a certain volume. Otherwise, if I turn it down, then everything cleans up. It's like, this doesn't work for me now, you know?
So that's one benefit of doing it that way. But it's not an upside or a downside. The flip side of that coin is, man, you can hear everything. It is such a clean way to have to play because it's so revealing if you go into a high headroom power amp. I will just say that some things have conspired to come together where some things are being sent to us at the moment ahead of people coming to see us and other things. And I do have a new love of traditional amps.
Oh my word. Oh my word.
Nothing to see here, nothing to see there, nothing to see there.
So yeah, Joey Landis is going to be joining us at some when is he in?
It's a couple of months.
Time, and so we're going to have some gear here for him, and that's been sent over, and
it's going to live
Nick
here.
sent me a video.
Going to live here for
on
a
the
while.
weekend, and he's like, "Dude, you got to hear this." And I've come in this morning and played into it, and from the very first note, I had to change the way I use my right hand because it's so incredibly dynamic. But wow, what an amazing thing. So, I guess it's, and I think if we go back to
Shed, yes, it is.
Right.
He said, "Is it suede?" It's like, yeah, it is.
Yeah, it's amazing. So if we go back to Pletico's question at the beginning, I'm trying desperately to do this without being emotional about it and being really objective about it. It's really hard. But that's one thing that Andy does incredibly well. I don't want to, because I feel really connected with the rig I've got at the moment, and I don't want to lose that. But at the same time, there's other stuff going on there that I really, really like.
It's the tool for the job, isn't it? So I've got a job coming up, a gig coming up in August with my friend Neville and his friend Adrian. They've both done albums, and it's quite a diverse set, and it requires not a vast array of different sounds, but quite a. It's like I'm the utility guy, if you like. There's no flashy solos or anything like that. It's just quite a lot of ground to cover, and I'm using an entirely different rig for that than I would for the Andy Timmons gigs. And I think that's it. If you know what the rig's going to do, and you know that the kind of playing that you need to do works on that kind of rig, then if you're in a position to be able to have a couple of options, happy days.
Beautiful.
Yeah, I also find it keeps you interested. So having plugged just a traditional amp that makes all the overdrive with no pedals up the front, it's a different way of playing, and it just makes you, it just sort of refreshes you a little bit, I think.
Yeah, and that's a really nice thing to do momentarily from time to time.
Yeah.
Just give you a little bit of a lift. It's
Remind
lovely.
yourself,
Yeah, it's lovely.
Pete, I want to say thanks to Peter Goddard. He's bought a strap. Thanks so much, Peter.
Oh, thanks, Pete. That's awesome.
We hope you love it. They're so. I went down to meet Nigel and the Heister Camp people and watched them being made. I'm just such a fan of craft in that way. You know, it starts as a hide, big knife cuts it out, stitches it all up. I just love it. It's so tactile, and it's so, the aesthetic of it is, every time I put it on my guitar, I'm like, yeah, I like this.
Eric Catterall is asking, what was a Ray Charles song that we played with at our gigs, where we all had a solo. I had a solo, and Andy mentioned it. It's called "Drown in My Own Tears." It's super interesting tune, super great changes.
Of course, I chose that,
and it's beautiful because Mick sang it, and we all had swang over it. But it's a
typical Ray progression.
Yeah, and they're jazz changes, but there's little things in there. It's like little bits of ear candy, earworm stuff in there. It's really nice.
Yeah. It's "Drown in My Own Tears." I think it was a single. It's available on iTunes and stuff. "Drown in My Own Tears" by Ray Charles. Eagle Ray Rob wants to know what speaker's in that TS1. It's the 2-rock speaker, and it sounds spectacular. We'll mic it up and get it on the show soon enough.
Yeah,
it sounds really, really, really spectacular. Mm-hmm. Hello to Dave if you're watching, by the way. Jason Shadrick. Hello, Jason. How are you? From Premier Guitar. Jason says, is it a Joey Landreth signature 2-rock? It is not. It is not. That's all I'm saying about that. Yeah, cool. Right. Back to the old Chats du Super.
Brian Case's Ray, Funeral Tempo. I guess that's... You're talking about the really slow. Yeah. It's so... Slow tempos are hard.
Yeah.
Really, really tricky.
We kept it kind of staccato as well in the rhythm so that there was space between the beats.
Yeah.
It was really nice.
Yeah.
It was really nice. Especially after, I don't know what the previous song was, probably Rosanna or something.
Right. Or Groove or Die.
Yeah.
That was just so great.
Thanks for the fantastic show with the magnificent Mr. Timmons, says Michael Gilberto. Giliberto, my apologies. He says, superb example of using pedals to create a tonal palette that a great performer uses to make art. Yeah, I think that's a great way to describe it.
Yep, beautiful.
Steve Mass! Hello, Steve.
Hey, Steve.
Nice to hear from you. He says, I just got a Solar guitar with an Evertune bridge. It's a game changer. At my age, the arthritis in my hands makes it hard to play with accurate finger placement and pressure, so I'm loving this.
Oh, that's brilliant.
You know, of all the modern wonder things that solve problems on old-fashioned guitars, I think the Evertune bridge is about the only thing I think is truly brilliant.
Yeah, it works. Doesn't require any batteries. It's just simple
mechanical
physics. It's really brilliant.
Yeah.
Really brilliant.
I was skeptical, and then I played I've told this story before, but it was a 65, I think, or a 64 SG. Well, it was Pelham Blue that had gone green for the reasons we know about at NAMM, and it was given. I don't want to deride SGs here, but I have a hard time keeping SGs in tune because I don't play them all the time. I think that's not an uncommon issue with SGs, and I could not make this thing go out of tune.
Yeah, brilliant.
Yeah, really spectacular. It did mean you had to put a huge route in the back of it, which perhaps not so good on a 64 SG, but yeah, nice.
So I was introduced to that by our mate Devon Townsend, and it was such a game changer for him because he uses down tuning like drop C and tunes in fourths and all this Devon tuning, and he plays really heavy and really quick, and his stuff accuracy is so important. And tuning live was a nightmare for him. And he just said it's changed his life. Being able to really treat the guitar with reckless abandon.
Yeah.
And it's just like, bang. Really, really amazing.
Enjoy that guitar, Steve. Paul Jolstead says, I still can't get over that moment from Friday's show. I want to give Dan a big hug after. It's so good to know that you're both deeply moved by this stuff. Dan, how long was it until he felt normal again? He broke us all very easily.
I still don't feel normal. It was amazing, right? Andy played that, and we it was the end of a long week for us. We hadn't stopped. I think we were all a bit run down isn't the wrong word, because we all felt flipping fantastic. It was so much fun.
Yeah,
but a lot of energy had been expended.
D-mob happy, weren't we?
Exactly. And then Andy plays that, and I'm like, oh man, I can't. I was not expecting it. He was like, this is the sound of this pedal, and I'm like, okay, this is going to be nice. And then he played that, and
he just launched into it.
And it was like, it was overwhelming. Anyway, I went at the corner, bless him, and Andy, he knew, he could feel it, and he came up and he gives me a hug and everything. I'm like, he's the best guy. He's so in touch. You know how people say you play what you feel and you play who you are. Yeah. That comes out. That's who Andy is.
Exactly that.
That's who Andy is. If you've ever met Andy, you will get that.
If he wasn't that guy, he wouldn't be able to play like that.
That's who he is.
Yeah.
He is all heart.
Yeah.
It's beautiful, and it just comes out, and it's like, yeah. So, I still don't feel normal after that. And the weird thing is, I was watching the show back, all rested and everything, and I'm watching the show back before it goes live just to double check that everything is fine. And that comes on, I'm listening to that, and then I'm like, oh God, I'm going again. Just
it's so moving. It's so moving. Yeah. We were kind of similar when Adam Neely played that.
Oh, the thing on the
cello piece on the bass.
It's like, what on earth?
Yeah. Something, I don't know. I mean, obviously, it's all about the musician and how they put it over, but there is something in the harmony of those classical pieces that's just beautiful.
Yeah.
It's all tension and release, isn't it?
Yeah. And they've known how to do that for a long time.
On the subject of which, nearly you meet feast time, Dan. Jason Sears. No, Shawnee is Cubs fan 1.
Hey, buddy.
Shawnee is Cubs fan 1. Good morning from Chicago.
Sweet home.
I found out there's a line of made in Japan Fenders that do feature a nitrocellulose lacquer finish. They're called the Heritage Series, and sadly exclusive to Japan.
Oh wow, okay.
Yeah, there's quite a few guitars that are exclusive to Japan that are pretty cool.
Yeah. If you've seen, so I did a little vlog on our trip to Japan over with Boss. Seriously, the guitar stores are out of control.
Yeah.
They are magic. If you ever get a chance to go to Tokyo, put a day aside to go and visit some of the guitar stores.
Yeah.
Man alive.
Yeah.
If you imagine, like, really trained, passionate staff who will get a guitar for you, make sure it's in tune, and they care so much.
You are talking about a guitar shop here, right?
Yeah. Well, the guys in Japan, when they, you know what I mean? It's like
it just sounds like an unusual experience.
Yeah. But they all have tuning forks in their pockets, and they're like, they're making sure that it's just really lovely.
People come to the experience days that have said they've gone into a guitar shop and asked to try a guitar and been told no. I mean, I get it. If you were sort of a serial tire kicker, and maybe, but it's a bit Wayne's World, isn't it?
Yeah.
Anyway, Jason Sears. Hello, Jason.
Hey,
Jason says mixed custom shop Stratocaster pulled its weight in the penultimate episode. Just wondering if you hold with the adage that a good vintage instrument has a sonic edge, but reliability of a custom shop can balance the scales.
I understand the question. It's not about vintage, like, per se. Even though the really good vintage guitars have something that we can't quite put our finger on. We've both played vintage guitars. I had a 61 before I had the Junior, or was it I had 62 Special, 2 P90s, that was an absolute dog.
Mm.
And then I found the Junior, and it was like one of the best guitars I've ever played.
Yeah.
You've got to be careful with the vintage thing, because it adds a whole other thing of connotation to it. Saying that, though, if you with the Strat show, there is something about the 61 that we just can't put our finger on. There's something about that guitar.
I kind of reliability wise, there's nothing that the 61 won't do that the custom shop will do. So it's as reliable and it's as stable, and it there's no reliability issue there as such. However, I think what maybe you're driving at if it were a non-refinned guitar that had never been taken apart, that didn't have any wiring modification, that was, you know, a precious piece of history that you daren't damage any further, or then yeah, absolutely, because it might be you want the tone pot on the bridge pickup, or it might be that you want a 5-way in it, or you want to have different kinds of frets or whatever, then of course a more modern guitar makes much more practical sense.
Yeah.
As it happens with that 61 Strat, I just had it refretted this week. The video will come out in August. We're going to have some holiday time in August, so we're trying to get some videos in the bag. And, you know, a lot of people would say, oh no, you mustn't refret the guitar. I think the original nut was probably still in it because it was shimmed underneath.
Right. Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, and so a lot of people would be like, oh no, you mustn't change that. But it's like, of course you must. I bought this guitar to play, not to put under the bed and leave to somebody. I bought it to be my main guitar and to play it. Dan's been playing it because it's horrifically out of tune. I know, it's just my terrible guitar playing. So yeah, there's a upcoming video on the nut change. Did you know the nut slot's cambered as well?
Yeah, right.
Underneath.
Yes. Yeah. In Johnny showed us that in the video.
Did he?
Yeah.
So was the blue one cambered underneath?
Yeah.
Oh, I always thought it was flat.
I have to double check. I'll double check with Johnny. But I think so.
Yeah. So he showed me how he cambers it, and
right.
Anyway, really great video with Matt Gleason from Monty's coming up on ripping the frets out of this and putting in lovely new ones.
I'm just going to check my text from Matt. Yes. Okay. Great. I managed to get in.
Yeah, I totally see what you're saying, Jason. If you don't want to modify the guitar and it doesn't work practically for you, then yeah, sure, modern custom shop. I too thought the gold one stood up.
That's beautiful. Yeah, that's
great.
a great
I thought
guitar.
it stood up really, really well.
Yeah.
Yeah, and there are actually some things I prefer it for. So
sure.
Horses, courses. Mark Lavinish, here's one for you, Daniel. Nice to hear from you, Mark. He says, can you please share some tips or techniques on how to best use iReal Pro as a learning tool? I feel a bit lost.
Okay. If you... so I use that with jazz tunes, right? So what iReal Pro is, anyone who's familiar with the Real Book. So when I first started studying jazz, there's a thing called the Real Book, and it has all the American jazz standards in it and all the charts that are written out. iReal Pro is like an electronic version of the Real Book that gives you the options with bands, and so that you can, it's got keys and drums and bass and horn sections and things. So the way that I use it is you can mix the band, you can change the levels, you can take instruments out, change the feel of it, all that stuff. Change the key, change the tempo, write the theme tune, sing the theme tune. So what I'll
recently,
do...
didn't he?
Yes, he did. Yeah, he did.
Dennis Waterman.
Right. So if there's let's say I'm doing Autumn Leaves, so I'll go in there and there'll be the original key that it was done in. If I'm just learning a tune, I might put it in a key that's a bit more familiar to me, but it's really good. So a lot of those tunes are in B flat or an E flat, which are, things that have got horn parts on them can be, an F and those sorts of keys. You should, if you're struggling in those sorts of keys, you can change it to a key that you're more familiar with. But one thing I do is that the first thing I go into the band mix, and I'll get rid of everything except drums, bass, and a little bit of piano. But the piano, I use the simplified chords on it. I don't want it getting in, if I'm doing extended harmony and sort of stuff, I don't want the extended harmony of the piano getting in the way of it. Also, make sure you listen to and you're familiar with a version of the tune before you try to start doing it in iReal Pro, because you're not like if you're doing Autumn Leaves, go and have a listen to the 100 other versions, or a couple of the other versions of the tune. Make sure you're familiar with the tune before you start going into iReal Pro, because you're not going to hear any vocals or anything like that. Yeah. Familiarise yourself with the tune, but I use it every day. it's the most wonderful learning tool, especially for jazz stuff. But you can, once you get really good at it, you can go and do your own arrangements and, you know, put your own chords and stuff in if you're writing stuff that you want to, you know, digest a bit more so you can slow things down and stuff. It's really, really great.
Yeah.
There's also a search function on there. So there's an iReal Pro community, and any song that you can think of, someone will have done a version and put it in iReal Pro, and that you can download and stick in there. It's really great.
Yeah, it's cool. I hope you enjoy it, because it's very nice to play along with bass and drums, isn't it?
It's just wonderful.
Yeah.
I use it with my Boss Was Air headphones, and I can link my iPad up to that as well. So in the morning, you know, I hit play and it's all coming through the headphones with the...
Oh, nice.
It's really great.
Is that an audio into the headphones?
It's just a Bluetooth audio.
So it can take Bluetooth from the...
So the Bluetooth... So the audio...
can take two inputs?
The audio from my... from my iPad is hooked up to my Was It Air headphones, as well as the Was It Air thing itself. It's really great.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, really, really great.
Wow.
It's 6 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah.
It's, you know, no one wants to hear me rocking it downstairs. It's perfect.
John Gorb. Hello, M&D. Do you prefer your 2-Rock as a clean platform with pedals for dirt, or do you enjoy the dirt channel? Maybe layering with pedals with the amp set to break up with your touch. Okay, so we're in the unusual position of having two 2-Rocks at the moment. There's a bit of confusion. The TS1 that I've just showed you is not actually Joey Landreth's. There's some stuff being sent here that we're going to be potentially custodians of for a little while. That's going to live here for a bit. Joey's is having some stuff sent for when they tour. That isn't actually his.
Yeah.
So,
but they have a play of it, and you know.
Yeah.
It'll all be.
Yeah.
It's one big gear loving.
So the classic reverb signature that you can see behind you, that's my favourite amp in the world and ever, and I use it predominantly clean, but it will be breaking up just a little bit. So when you do hit it with overdrive pedals and a fuzz, it will then start to overdrive, although you can't really tell because you've got the fuzz on top of it or whatever. So it's at that point of where it's just breaking up. It's rare that I use that very overdriven. I tend to use that for the headroom. Yeah. And wonderful it is too.
But the overdrive channeling, that's very different.
Yeah, so the TS1, which I just showed you, is very different. That's sort of evolved from the Dumble Overdrive Special circuit, and it is a spectacular overdrive sound, like nothing else we've ever played.
Yeah, unbelievable.
And so, yeah, I very much like the gain in the amp on that one. The good news is the clean channel is great. I've never, ever had a clean an amplifier or played an amplifier where I like the clean channel and the dirty channel.
But the dirty channels are just another gain stage in the clean channel, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's
So
not
you're not
exactly.
They're not two different things. And that's,
And I think that's why it's easier to use.
Right.
Then I'm not a big fan of dual channel amps because the channels are always too different for me. But that thing is just, it's an astonishing sound. So in that, I'll probably do a mixture of what you're talking about. So have some pedals for the clean channel for different textures and stuff. But when you go over to the lead channel in the TS1, for example, or indeed any other overdrive amplifier that you really like, then don't bother with the pedals.
Yeah.
Or maybe just use a different kind of pedal. So a shaper, a boost which cuts out bottom end, for example. Sure.
A good version of that was when Andy kicked in the TS1 into the overdrive channel of the Lone Star.
The Tube Screamer.
The Tube Screamer, the TS900. And we all know what the Tube Screamer sounds like, but actually paired up with that overdrive channel, which isn't really gainy. It just added a little bit of sizzle to it, and it's, really great.
So I guess the answer, John, is it's always a combination of the two. And I think that hard distinction between clean platform plus pedals and overdrive amp without pedals is a little too dichotomous for me and Dan. What tends to happen is you set the amp on the edge and the pedals push it closer. Push it halfway towards it being an overdriven amp. That's for us anyway, that's where all the interesting harmonics and everything lie. That's where all the that's where your voice is as a player, I think. Yeah. Chris Quinn says the two channels in the Imperial are great. Yes, they are. Tone King Imperial Mark II.
Oh yeah, they're beautiful.
But I kind of feel the same thing that I feel about the the Dumble style of overdrive. It's like the
You thought you were going to get away with that, didn't you? You thought you were going to make an entrance and you thought I'd just slide through and that was Hayden, by the way, just popping in to say hi.
I actually feel like in the Imperial, the overdrive channel just feels like it takes over from where the clean channel leaves off. And actually, if you max the clean channel out, they're not that different.
Yeah, right. Yeah, because it's the same gain staging.
Feels like it is. I don't know the actual circuitry of the amp, but where it just feels like more clean channel. And I always prefer amps that do that.
Hang on. 1 second. Hey, buddy. I can't hear you at the moment, but Andy Timmons has just called. He's on FaceTime.
Hello, mate.
There he is. There he is. So, yeah, we're just... say hi to the beautiful people, Andy. Oh, yeah.
We've got an audio problem.
Friend technology.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, that's working then. Matt Lawrence, Legends. I wanted to say how much I loved both the Froome gig and the Friday Experience Day. Loved meeting both Andy and Simon too. Plus hearing Dan play my rig was a joy. Thanks, Catherine and Hayden. Such an awesome weekend. It was nice to meet you, Matt. Thanks for hanging out with us.
Yeah, buddy. That's great. Andy, I can't hear you, bud. I can't hear you. I hear you now.
Call me later. I'm so sorry to interrupt.
Oh, no worries. No worries. Well, I'll call you later. Everyone say bye, Andy. See you in a minute, bud.
Eagle Ray Robb says, great show on Friday. Mr. Timmons is a real jewel. Was it just me, or did that Keeley Halo come extremely close to sounding as good as my CXM78 and the Free the Tone Future Factory together? Thanks. P.S. I'm putting a deposit on a 2-Rock TS1 today. You won't be disappointed with the TS1. Yeah. I hadn't heard one properly until Friday, and it's like, oh my god. Yeah.
The Halo, that does something I've never heard in a delay pedal before. It's
interestingly enough, Rob. When we were setting up our sounds for the gigs, I got Andy to walk me through trying to get my Future Factory to sound like the Halo, right? Because the Halo is 2 tape delay simulations in one pedal. The Free the Tone Future Factory, for anyone who doesn't know, has 2 separate delay lines that are individually adjustable for EQ, modulation, all the things. You should be able to get it fairly close. We couldn't get very close.
Right.
There was something about the way the tone rolls off and the specific modulation.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing.
I mean, we got,
it sounds great.
Close enough for me,
yeah,
but not close enough for him.
Yeah.
So, it does a really unique thing. I also think Andy's so used to playing with that sound, and it's become part of what he does, that I think he knows how to play it as well.
Yeah, sure.
So if I was to play that sound, it definitely doesn't sound... It still sounds like a delay when I play it.
Yeah. But it's one of those things that since our first show with Andy, we would consistently get emails asking us about how Andy's delay tone. Yeah. Can you tell us the settings? It's like, actually, no, I don't know. No idea.
It's so... the sound is so wet, you think it would never work.
It's just...
There's so much delay there.
Yeah.
And you would think, well, how does he ever get any articulation on that? But you heard it. Plenty of articulation.
Yeah, it was amazing.
Landon Spencer. I'm just going to make sure we don't have... here we go. Landon wants to know, just going through an old guitarist magazine and I saw a young Mr. Steinhardt comparing a Bugera BC30 to a Matchless DC30. Just wondered if you knew a Matchless was your dream amp before that or not.
Yeah, so I'd had... right. When I first heard a DC30, we had Dave Gregory. The very first time we ever played with Dave, jammed with Dave, we caught it actually on video. It's on the old Gig Rig channel. And we were comparing a bunch of amps. And I knew Dave had the Matchless. So I'd always wanted to hear one. I said, because I'd met him by that stage and we got on really well. He was a really nice guy. I said, but we're filming some amp comparisons. Do you want to come down and bring your Matchless and have a go? and I had my 2-rock
Jet.
And so he said, yeah. And he came down and we filmed the jam. And that was actually the start of Tin Spirits, was that jam.
Ah, no way.
And I had my Jet and it was sounding great. And then the flippin' matched the sparse up. And I'm like, oh my God. It was, and he had the Firebird into the matchless, right? And it was just spectacular. And what was interesting was I'd always had amps with reverb. I'd always loved amp reverb. And so I basically badgered Phil at Matchless to make me a DC30 with reverb, which he did. And it sounded amazing. But I took it to the rehearsal and I could never get it matched up to what Dave was getting. And I ended up moving it on and getting this one. And it's like, well, there it is. So that really simple, tweaked but simple circuit in this amp is something. It is my dream amplifier. So I hadn't owned the DC30 at that stage but I'd been around it long enough and played it long enough that I knew that that was what was going on.
I first heard one when Robbie McIntosh had just got one.
Right.
He'd been using boogies for ages, and we were in Evershot Village Hall, which is in Dorset. And he was playing there with his band. I think we might have been playing or the next night or something. And what I remember about the sound of that amplifier, I think it was Robbie. Yeah, pretty sure it was. It was so 3D. Yeah. I had never heard a guitar sound so 3D before.
You felt like you walked through it, It
was in a village hall, so it was just everywhere in the room. And I remember it. Yeah, I remember that's the first time I heard one. And then Neville, my friend Neville, when I worked at Guitarist, he had a mid-90s green one combo, which was a spectacular sounding thing.
Yeah.
Just amazing. Lovely amps. Yeah, a little bit different from the Bugera.
Yeah. The Bugera was it was a step towards that sound.
Yeah.
And which is great.
Yeah.
But when you hear, it's like when we did the EL84 show, and we had some really cracking amps, including my Vintage 61, and these things all sounded great. And then the Matches gets turned on, and we were just like,
hello.
Oh yeah, there it was.
Mike 2203 fan. Hello, Mike.
Hey, buddy.
Hey, DNM. Just got my Blu-ray of the Beatles Get Back at last.
Wow.
Blu-ray. Yeah, nice. Anyway, was Andy's sound set up on the video stereo as opposed to wet dry? It was awesome playing.
Yeah, stereo.
It was indeed.
Yeah.
So he was using 2 Lone Stars, not using the speakers in the Lone Stars. They were going into the Boogie upright cab with EVs, and obviously they're upright, so both speakers were mic'd, and I just panned them hard right and hard left. You can also hear a little bit of the room mics in, so you're not getting like a hard stereo left-right image, because part of the room image, you'll hear it by the time it hits the stereo mics at the back of the room. You're hearing both speakers, so it's kind of the close mics are stereo, the back ones are stereo, but obviously the back ones hear everything. So yeah, that's what you're hearing, stereo. Matthew Collis Long. Hello, Matthew. Nice to hear from you. Matthew joined us on one of our experience days just recently. No question, Matthew, so hopefully we haven't missed anything. We did get the picture of you and your daughter, however. Thank you for sending that.
Oh, lovely.
Who smells? Do you remember?
I do.
Yeah.
I do.
Yeah. I'm just going to check there isn't a question. Are you ordering us takeaway, Dan?
You know it.
Yeah, nice. Actually, I think we've got stir fry tonight.
Oh, fantastic.
With random meats.
Okay. Yeah, that's great. Yeah. I've had a bit of meat on the weekend, and I had a little I made it Friday night, but since Andy came over, so Andy's gone veggie. Yeah. And I thought, I see how I go doing veggie stuff. And it's really great. I'm still having meat. I don't want to get concerned, because I'm still going to,
it's all right,
chuck
mate.
it down.
More for me.
Yeah. No, I'm still going to do it. But it's like more of a treat now.
Yeah. I think that's a very conscientious way to treat meat, Dan.
Yeah, I feel good. It feels good. Like I knew that I would. 20, 30,
There's
40,
a
50.
really,
I gotcha.
really, really great Desert Island Discs this week with a guy whose name I can't remember, but he's a tailor in Savile Row, very famous tailor in Savile Row.
Right.
A totally inspiring story of how he got started. He's from Trinidad. Anyway, he picked a James Brown song. It's A Man's World, which I hadn't heard for a long time. They've remastered it and they've done something really weird to the vocal, which is tremendously annoying. Anyway, it's like they've put like a short room reverb or something on it, so it sounds stereo.
Right.
It sounds really awful, and it's not on the original. Anyway, not for the first time, just utterly astounded at his vocal performance.
Yeah, right. That's amazing.
Just, you forget, don't you? Singers, they sing. It's not just singing; it's a flipping performance.
Oh yeah, totally.
Like a 3-act drama.
Yeah. Yeah.
Totally amazing. Anyway, sorry. Michael Lockyer. Hello, Michael. Happy Monday. Do you have any thoughts on using pedals for core effects and overdrives and supplementing with a good rack unit for the less used stuff? Anything I should be aware of? I've offloaded pedals to rack and I'm using a MIDI switcher, by the way.
Yeah, so it depends on your amp.
Scott Gaylor says, so can't Andy have any pudding now? It's a Pink Floyd reference for anyone who's
very good.
Slow on the uptake.
That's so weird because he just texted again. He just said Andy. He said, "Speak of me and I appear." That's just so funny.
Don't eat your meat. You can't have any pudding.
So, yeah. So, you know, delays and reverbs. I think especially there's some really wonderful rack units that do all that stuff. Beautiful. Obviously, we know there's some really great overdrives and you know the analog stomp box versions of overdrives, which we love so much. There's, you know, marrying those two technologies is a really great thing to do. You know, having your like, you know, for like the King of Tone, the Page, D&M drive. These are staples in my sound, and they'll always be going to the front of the amplifier. Then once you've got that that preamp sound, or even if you're running a really clean amplifier and you're sending those pedal tones directly into your rack before it goes into the input of the amplifier, but you know, that's a way to do it. But a lot of the times you'll be taking a line out, the preamp out of your amp, sending that into the rack things, and then back into the effects return. That's a really common way to do it.
Or even a line off the speaker.
Yeah, line off the speaker.
Which is how they used to do it in the old days to get around all kinds of problems.
Yeah. What you would do with line off the speaker is that you would then send that to a separate power amp and that stuff and amplify it that way. Basically
properly creating a parallel effects chain like you would have it in a studio is what that's for.
Yeah, and it's a great way to do it.
The biggest problem with rack gear is getting over the line and instrument level changes that you have to make.
Yeah.
Because doing that, watch the video with Simon this coming Friday. We talk a bit about that.
Yeah, it's great.
Stuff that I had no idea about, or at least if I did, I'd long forgotten it. In order to well, first of all, as Dan mentioned earlier, the signal coming out of that preamp can be giant.
Yeah, indeed.
From the matchless is 30 volts. From one of Simon's preamp boxes, it can be up to 50 volts. So you need to bring that down to something really sensible to be able to hit an effects pedal of any kind, whether it's instrument or line level. But then, of course, you have to bring it back up again to get back in to the return in order that the phase inverter gets hit with enough mumbo to keep the amp sounding sweet and nice and all the rest of it.
Exactly.
And all of those up and downs are why people like Lukather and Landau, courtesy of people like Bob Bradshaw, had those amazingly complex rigs of sends and returns and making up and getting down again in order to be able to run those parallel effects. So mixing modern pedals with rack stuff gets you into that territory. It's perfectly doable, but it's just a bunch of different considerations.
Yeah.
Dan and I would also say that the best of the modern pedals sound every bit as good as the old rack stuff.
100%.
So the point of contention comes with power supply, because I think a lot of that stuff had massive headroom.
Yeah.
But then there might be compromises in other parts of it that make up for the thing. So yeah, it can be done as long as you can get your levels set so that just effects loops, man. It's just pain. If you work at it, get your outs and ins right, get your buffers on the right places.
Yeah.
Because normally what happens is, passive effects loop, bunch of stuff in the loop, you plug it in, where's my tone gone? It's gone down endless capacitance.
Right.
And tones suck.
Yeah.
Especially if it's a series loop.
Yes. The other side of that, though, is sometimes that extra impedance and capacitance is part of the sound that you like. You know what I mean? Sometimes actually getting rid of that might not result in the thing that gets you going. And that comes back to that all the the buffers and impedance discussions that we have all the time. It's about knowing enough about it that you can make an informed decision.
Yes, right. So you don't just chase your tail the whole time.
Exactly.
Yeah. Good luck. That sounds like a fun project. I secretly covet the whole little rack with a drawer in it. So you've got your lovely 2290.
Yeah.
And then you've got a drawer with all your analog pedals on.
Yeah.
And then you've got something like G3 with the stage board. So you've got all your control out front, but everything's in the rack back there. I kind of like that. My problem is I can't do MIDI.
You don't have to do MIDI. I'll set it up.
No, because when it goes wrong, I can't fix it.
But it won't get wrong.
It always does. I'll pull a pedal. I'll change the loop order. I'll pull a pedal out. Put another pedal in.
None of that's MIDI.
No, I'm not doing it.
Great. All right. That's sorted then.
Yeah. I'm sure. To be fair, I'm sure I could learn. I do use quite a lot of complex equipment in the rest of my life.
You really do. You do stuff with audio software, stuff that makes my head spin. It's like, I've got no idea how you could do it. Yeah. Anyway. You know what? Okay. Here we go. I'm going to build you a rack just for fun for you to have a play with. Just have a play. With the sliding drawers, with a controller on the floor.
Yeah.
And everything there.
Can I choose a rack case?
Choose whatever you like.
Okay.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's quite important.
Indeed. You want to...
I'm going to go get something. Dan, keep the people happy.
Okay.
Actually,
right.
I might have a lemon cider. Do you want half a lemon cider?
Yeah, go on then. That'd be lovely. A massive thank you again to BV for being there and being a legend. Thank you, mate. That's really awesome. Actually, why don't we give... where'd he go? I was going to say, why don't we give Mr. Timmons a quick call and see how he's doing? Because I want to ask him one thing. Because loads of people had asked about that tune. So let's see what he says. Yeah, here he is. Hey, bud. We're still on. I just had one. Yeah. I just had a quick question.
Yes, dear.
So everyone's asking about the tune that brought us to tears on the show. Is that going to be appearing on an album? Is that a work in progress? Is that a what?
Yeah, that's part of a series of tunes. That particular one was it was influenced by. I spent about a year listening to not much more than Chopin. So that's a very Chopin influenced tune. So I've written a bunch of music in that vein. That's going to be solo guitar pieces, and it's called The Bittersweets. SUITS.
Oh, nice.
The Bittersweets, the Outlier Nocturnes. If that's complicated, but yeah, it's gonna be a record of that essentially. So
how awesome!
That particular piece is called "Here Lies the Heart."
Okay, here lies Dan's heart on the floor. Oh, that's lovely, bud.
I got a text from from Mike Danius, and he says, "I watched your pedal show. It was great. You made Dan cry." That's the standout. I was like, "I'm so sorry. I didn't mean."
That was man, it was such a beautiful moment. It really was. It really was. Excellent, buddy.
You were just tired and needed a nap. That's all.
yeah. That's what it was.
We should have put you in timeouts. Yeah.
Do you? Is that something you're working on now? Is there a release date?
As soon as my new speakers come in.
So, Andy played through the.
So check this out. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, so Robert Keeley and Aaron Pierce and I, we're doing an in-store today at the Guitar Sanctuary.
Awesome.
To like talk about the Halo and all that. But I found an amp in Norman, Oklahoma that had the 15-inch version of the speaker, and it's this old PV Session 400.
Wow.
Which is an amp that Clint Strong used to use, which I was kind of after about 15 years ago. But now that I'm looking for the speaker, that amp shows up. And I had them pick it up for me on their way. So they're my amp delivery system today. Yeah.
Fantastic. 15-inch EVs. That's got to be a thing.
That's going to be a light amp.
You should hear one in a Vibroverb. They sound unbelievable.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, man. Okay.
Yeah.
Awesome.
So the record's in progress. I'm hoping by the end of the year.
Amazing. Amazing. Oh, buddy, that's amazing. Thank you so much.
I can't believe I called right when you're in the middle of the show.
It's perfect. It couldn't be more perfect. All right, bud. Love ya. We'll talk to you soon.
Take it easy.
Cheers,
Say hello to Mike.
See you, bud. Bye.
Bless him.
So he's just great.
Bless him. Ricky Miller. Hey guys, do you fancy building a guitar? I sent an email and not heard back, so checking it's not in spam. Ricky, we do. Thank you so much for sending the email. Is that all right?
That's fantastic.
It's a weak, cloudy lemon cider, so apologies for drinking on air, but there we are. It's summer. Ricky, we do. We just need to work it out. I'll come back to you and we can discuss it. I really do want to do it, actually.
That'd be fun.
Yes, thank you, and apologies for the rubbish delay in getting back to you. But yes, thank you. Now then, my favourite subject has come up, Dan. Dumbles. My new favourite subject. Steve Salazar is on, and he said, Google Dumble ODS 49 and you will find an image of it. So he had Dumble 49, Overdrive Special number 49. I've checked my Dumble book, and 49 is not in the book, so it's obviously online somewhere.
Right.
There's a great book by a guy called Jesse Schwartz, the Dumble book. There he is. And there's number 48, which belongs to Steve Lukather.
Oh, wow.
And the next one is 55. So anyway, I'm fascinated by these things.
Yeah, man.
I'm so fascinated by these things.
Oh, Tim Lurch is on. Hey, Tim.
Hello, Tim.
He says, can't wait to hear Andy's solo guitar record. Yeah. I'll just be a mess on the floor, a little
man.
Dan puddle.
Are you kidding? Êtes-vous kidding? Yes, so nice one, Steve Salazar, having owned a proper Dumble.
Oh, Paul Matulovich says Dave Friedman and Ryan from 60 Cycle both sip tequila on their stream, so we're okay with
nice.
that one. Yeah. Oh, no way. No way. That's hilarious. So how many amps did he make?
Not many.
Is it like the Gibson thing? There are like 2,000 made and only 5,000 left in circulation or something.
Yeah, I don't know very many fake Dumbles, I'm sure. Oh, I'm not even going to say what I was going to say. Anyway, yes, so Steve Salazar, nice one on owning number 49. That's very cool.
Amazing.
That was one of the silver panel ones, I believe. Anyway, let's get back to it.
That is refreshing.
Steve Salazar says, no, it's not there. I can verify that. Nice. R. Henry wants to know, have we used Electro Voice 8-inch speakers?
No.
No, I've heard 10s, 12s and 15s, but I don't believe I've ever heard an 8.
You know, it'd be fascinating to get like 6 8-inch speakers, put them all on a panel and into a resonant cab and see what that's like compared to something else.
Yeah.
Because I remember when I first started with a bass player who had one of those Henry the 8x8 cabs.
Yeah.
Thinking that's never going to work. Far out, man.
Yeah,
what
yeah.
a bass sound. Amazing. So yeah, that would be really interesting.
DWC Systems. Have a beer each on me, gents, says Darren.
Thank you, bud.
Thanks, Darren.
Cheers, mate.
Cheers, buddy.
It's zingy and refreshing.
Yeah. I had a no alcohol beer last week.
You okay?
I went round to Neville's to learn this set, or start learning the set, and it tasted pretty good.
Yeah, but you don't drink the beer for the taste.
No. That is that is a crossroads.
Yeah.
I've never quite managed to work out.
Yeah, that's the line.
Yeah.
It's like,
some people do like the taste of beer. I mean, I like the taste of beer, but
I like the taste of beer because it says in 5 minutes I'm going to be relaxed.
I like the look of guitar amps, but I prefer the look of them when I can hear them knocking my head off.
Exactly.
Yeah. Clint Roberts, hello Clint. He says, interested to know what you think of Cornford amps, especially due to the link with Victory. I recently purchased a 2001 Harlequin for home use.
Nice.
Yeah. For anyone who doesn't know, Cornford amps came out of the UK, South East Whitstable in Kent, to be precise, somewhere around there anyway, in the mid-1990s, and sort of kick-started the whole boutique amps thing again.
Right.
I think Cornford played a big hand in that. Of course, there were other brands doing it. I mean, if you think about Matchless, that's when Matchless came to the fore, really, in the mid-90s. But at that point in time, if you bought a standard Fender or a Marshall, or I guess Boogie was sort of midway there, because even though they were production line amps, they were very expensive and they were considered boutique.
Right.
But actually, point-to-point, hand-wired,
sure,
old school amps were not in massive supply at that time, and there certainly wasn't the proliferation of brands that there are now.
Yeah.
I think Cornford did a bit to kick that whole thing off, and they were beautiful.
Who made the Bull? Is the Bulldog? No, it's not Rivera. What was the? Andy said he did. He played that Electric Gypsy.
Oh, VHT.
The VHT.
That's a VHT Pitbull.
The VHT Pitbull. Now, when were they out?
VHT's got a bit of an odd history. It was owned by Steve Fryatt.
Oh, okay.
And then he sold it, I think. And I don't know what the history of the brand before that is, but the Pitbull's like a fire-breathing hard rock amp.
Yeah.
High headroom clean channel as well. But yeah.
So I've known a couple of guys with Pitbulls just use the high headroom clean channel as a pedal platform.
Yeah.
And I've heard some spectacular sounds.
It was a great amp.
Things, yeah.
I did a wedding gig with one once in a casino.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So Martin Kidd, who was the designer, and so that's the link between Cornford and Victory. And I remember hearing a Cornford Hurricane, a combo, the 50 watt.
20 watt Hurricane was.
What was the 50 watt?
It was called the MK2.
Okay. Well,
it was eventually called the MK2.
Right. Well, I remember hearing a Hurricane and then the 50 watt combo, and they really had something very special. Well, great. As to the Victories.
Hand wired, point to point, absolutely top notch stuff.
Yeah.
It's designed nicely with Martin involved. It's going to sound amazing, isn't it?
Absolutely.
I know a lot of people poo the whole point to point thing, but it makes a difference.
Yeah.
Especially in a simple amp.
Talking to Peter Hampstead from Hampstead Amps, who's an amazing engineer. Like he's proper like NASA level rocket scientist of an engineer.
MK50,
that's the one.
Yeah. Sorry, I knew I was kind of got it wrong.
And he does, in certain areas, he'll have a PCB. He said, we can design a PCB so there, but said in certain areas of the amp, point to point, it's where it's at. So yeah, it's definitely a thing. Oh man, this has gone straight to my head. Boy.
Nice.
Yeah. I want to do that show at some point. You and I get some sleeping bags, and we'll get Doug and Paddy in here.
What show is that exactly?
Yeah. No, but we'll get Doug and Paddy in here, and we'll do a thing where we'll play something, and then we'll have a shot.
Yeah.
Try and play it again, and we'll keep going until we cross that line.
I did my dad's open mic thing again yesterday. He does my dad sometimes does an open mic thing in Tame in Oxfordshire where he lives. And yesterday they had something called Falconbury, because they do it in the Falcon pub, and it was outdoors and a few bands come along to play, and so they wrote me in to do the sound.
Some of the clips you sent me were amazing.
Yeah, so we had an opera singer for the first time, which was a new thing.
She was fantastic.
She had backing tracks and everything. She did, is it O Solo Mio? Just One Cornetto, that one. And some other stuff. Anyway, after her was a punk band, like a full-on punk band. It's called Subject to Change. And Alex, who's the lead singer and guitarist, he's punk rock to the soles of his shoes.
Awesome.
He is totally punk rock. Anyway, I don't know if it was Alex's mum. Someone was buying him shots in between each song. So they just hammer away out some awesome punk tune and then down a shot in between it. I don't know, it just was a good feeling.
Yeah.
People just letting it all hang out.
That's lovely.
Hello, I don't suppose they'll ever watch this, but hello to Tracy on the bass and also to Kieran on the drums. You were thoroughly awesome and I loved your punk rock. So, yeah.
Very good.
Anyway, Clint, yes, Cornford, what wonderful things. Harlequin was the 6 watt, the first one, wasn't it? It was a 6 watt point to point, single-ended thing that just sounds amazing.
Vinsky 19.
All of Martin's amps have a lineage in the gain tone, which is he does gain like nobody else.
Yeah.
And it's a very unique Cornford Victory Martin Kidd signature sound.
Loves a bit of gain.
He loves a bit of gain.
Loves a bit of gain.
But it's always in a very nice pick attack, good harmonics, clear way. Yeah.
It's great.
Congratulations, Clint. Nice amp. Sam Colson. Hello, Sam. Sam Colson says, I'm looking at buying my first Strat and I'm completely torn between a maple or a rosewood fingerboard. Any sage advice? Play them.
Yeah, there's the sage advice.
Go and play them and see what you feel. I've had an interest. I mean, I've been playing Strats since I was 12 years old, so over 30 years. And like properly playing Strats since I was about 14, so over 30 years. I've never been able to play maple ones because the fingerboard is too sticky for me.
Yeah.
And
I've heard you play maple Strats and you sound amazing.
But I struggle. Now, what I learned this week was, so I had my old Strat refretted. I've always liked rosewood. I like the sound of it, and I like the sound that rosewood Strats make.
Look at that thing.
I love the sound that maple board Strats make in the right hands, just not mine.
Oh,
I thought I couldn't get the action high enough on this guitar because I was struggling to bend the strings to get underneath it. It's been refretted with 6105s. I have now got no problem whatsoever getting under the string.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
Someone asked in the comments, does it sound different now? Yeah, it sounds miles better.
Which is terrifying.
Interestingly, Matt Gleason, and this will come out in the video that I shot with him while he was refretting it. He said, right, before you do anything to your guitar, before you get new pickups, before you change the wiring, before you go buy a new amp, before you get any pedals, before you do anything, get the thing set up properly.
Yeah.
Get the frets done, get the nut done, get it set up properly, and it will sound totally different than if it's in a poor playing condition.
Sure.
Because the notes ring out clean and clear, your intonation will be better because the fret centers are where they need to be, etc., etc., etc. And I thought about it for a second. I thought, you are so right. I mean, it rings now. Every note rings, whereas before it was a fight because the nut was too low, the frets were really worn down. And if you think about that just for a second, the amount of flesh that I've got to have in contact with the board in order to get a note out is now much less because it's against the higher fret.
Yeah, right.
My point being, I can play maple strats with big frets, not too bad, but I can't play them with vintage frets.
Yeah,
because I can't get under the string.
Sure.
And more of my flesh is in contact with that board, which is too sticky for me, whereas rosewood isn't sticky.
Right.
In the same way. So that's just a personal opinion, but I had never put that together.
Buzz Crumhunger says, dang, that's just purdy, even unplugged. It's the most amazing guitar. It really is.
Honestly, mate, you wait till you hear it.
Well, I had to play before.
Oh, so you did, yeah. It just rings.
That's when I was playing that guitar through the TS1, and I was playing things I've never played before in my life. Just being led in a whole different direction, and it was so beautiful.
Me too. I because it rings and because it just is in tune now. I haven't changed anything about the intonation. It just is in tune in a way that it wasn't before. You can just let all that ring. I'm into me major seventh harmonies again in a big way.
Yeah, right.
Anyway, so play some, see what you think, see what you think feel wise, and go from there.
Yeah. Oh, I'm really excited about getting Matt to do this now. This one.
Yeah.
So
I can see me not playing much else for a while.
Yeah. It's not exactly a bad thing.
No, there's no significant downside there, is there?
Eagle Ray Rob says, I want to hear the 61 through the EVs, the detail on the top end. Those EVs are the most astonishing speaker.
Yeah, they're pretty.
Do the new ones sound like the old ones?
I can't answer that question.
Okay.
I don't know. The one I've got in my 112 2-rock cab doesn't sound like those.
Okay.
Breaks up more.
Does it really?
And it might be because it's been hammered more. Do you remember? Well, Andy plugged into it and he didn't like it immediately.
Right.
He liked the ones in the old vertical 2, right?
Okay.
212, but he didn't like the 112.
That's interesting. But they're supposed to be the same speaker, is that right?
Yeah, pretty similar period too. I think one's 86 and one's 88 maybe.
Wow.
Something like that.
Okay. Wow.
Something like that. Hey. There's a rabbit hole for you. So Sam, yeah, the slightly shorter answer to that is buy the one you like the look of. And I say that with absolute honesty because it's really important that you like the look of the guitar.
Indeed.
More usefully, right? So as you will have seen from Fender's current catalogue, and indeed all the used guitars that are available, there's maple necks and there's maple necks. Traditional vintage Fender Strat had a one-piece maple neck and fingerboard, so it's one piece of wood, and it would have been lacquered all the way around it. So on the back of the neck, on the fingerboard, you'd have nitrocellulose lacquer. As the years went by, that face of the fingerboard became a laminate, extra separate piece of wood that they put on top. That doesn't really affect the feel of it. However, what did change is the finishes over the years. So they then go from a nitrocellulose finish to a polyester finish. In some cases, the polyester can be easier to play because it's less sticky, but what happens with the nitro when it gets really old is it sort of becomes one with the wood. So the really, really old ones are a joy to play. The ones that I personally find hard to play are new nitro finishes that either haven't fully gone off or haven't, they're just a bit sticky. Anyway, lots and lots and lots of new Fender Strats have a satin finish on both to the back of the neck and on the fingerboard, and that makes it much easier. And then in addition to that, there are companies who have essentially got a bare finish, so it's just oiled. And you don't perceive the finish as such. It feels more like a piece of wood.
Right.
So there's lots of variables in that. If you possibly can, go to a guitar store and just get some in your hands and have a feel, and you'll probably be drawn instantly to one thing or the other. Yeah. Good luck.
Yeah, good luck, mate.
Sebastian Strodbeck. Greetings from Germany and thanks for the great TPS.
Oh, thank you, mate.
When I have an analog and a digital delay, which is better in the signal chain and which for the effects loop?
So, okay. The digital delay will generally have a higher headroom available than the analog delay. Generally, not always. Depends on the design. So generally, a digital delay will work better with a line level signal. An analog delay, generally designed to go into the front of the amplifier. Now, if you've got something like really clever, like the new
Sir Discovery,
Discovery, that can go Discoverer, yeah, that can work in a loop really great. Generally, the standard analog delays designed to take an instrument level, and then that will go in the front of the amplifier. Now, it depends on the amp as well, because some amplifiers have a true instrument level effects end. You know, the Friedman amplifiers are a really good example of that. And you can stick in an analog delay in the loop of that amplifier. The issue being it all depends on the preamp of the delay and how much that colours the tone. Whether the direct sound remains uncoloured. Some of them don't. So it's how long it's a piece of string that you just have to try it out and see what works. As far as placement, order-wise, if you have an analog delay, it all depends on time-wise is what you're doing as well. What I always try and do, I like analog delays with a shorter delay time. Generally, there's more detail in an analog delay when it's got a shorter delay time. For longer delay times, I like a digital delay because you can still retain the detail in that, unless I'm using something like tape, because the detail in tape, remains quite, lovely in those longer delay times.
Yeah.
But it all comes down to the sort of effects loop you've got in your amplifier. The sort of there are digital pedals and there's digital pedals, analog,
Yeah.
details.
So start with the analog in the front.
Start with the analog in the front, try the digital loop, and 9 times out of 10 that will work great.
Yep. Somebody was asking about Lee Tintle. Hello, Lee. Have you tried the Warehouse guitar speakers version of the EV? I have. I've got 2 of them. WGS 12L.
Oh, right.
And they sound really good, but they're a bit softer in the top end than an EV. Really weird EV top end, or at least the 3 EVs that we have. I can't speak for every EV speaker ever made, but what's really interesting is I think EVs have got a really bad reputation for being harsh and hard work to listen to, because they're so full and loud, actually. The top end in that cab is never harsh, is it?
Never. Even at crazy dB,
it's just
never harsh.
Handling it.
Yep.
It's there. The treble is there. The articulation is there. It's all there.
But it never fizzes.
I would almost liken it to what you would expect out of a good monitor speaker.
Right.
You can hear the air and the high end and the zing. In an old Alnico speaker, or even a lower powered ceramic one, that's going to be overdriving.
Yeah.
That's where you get the speaker sizzle. And I am not a fan of that.
Yeah, but for me it depends on the speaker. Like the old Blues in the 61, that particular sizzle,
essential part of the sound.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. But there are some times when you hear, and I agree completely. When you hear the speaker break up in some amplifiers, it's like, oh no, that's not a thing.
Well,
for me.
in Ainsley's Vibreverb, let's say a 64 Vibreverb, he sent 2 speakers with it. One is a 15-inch Alnico, which he likes, but it just doesn't work for me at all, because the minute you hit it, it overdrives the speaker. The second one was the JBL, the famous Lansing speaker. I can't remember what it's called. That thing it's even more aggressive than any EV I've ever heard, I think. Just flat as a pancake.
Right.
So it does make a massive difference. The WGS, just to answer your question, rolls off in the high end before the EV does. It's a little bit less exciting sounding, but I do like it. I use it with my 2-rock a lot, and I use it in the wet dry rig a lot.
I want to plug the mattress into the EVs.
But I do prefer the EVs, I have to say.
I want to hear what that's like.
Or I prefer our EVs.
Yeah, your EVs. I mean, if they're ours.
What's yours is mine, Daniel, and what's mine is mine.
I'm fascinated now to hear the matchless with it. Remember we went and did that thing, because when we first got the matchless, before we got the matchless cab, it was like perfect, right? When we first got the head, and I tried a bunch of speakers, the best pairing was that old H&K cab.
Yeah, 25-watt greenbacks.
Oh, awesome. But I'm now really want to hear the I want to hear the creamback Alnico, the same one that Neil Finn was using, because that sounded great. But I really want to hear the EVs.
EVs be very interesting.
Yeah.
Be very interesting.
Indeed. I'm now interested.
Could be a fun show, actually.
Yeah.
Could be a really fun show.
All right.
Maybe we could do that tomorrow.
Let's do it. Because we'll have it all here.
Filming tomorrow. Yeah, we've got it all here.
Yeah.
Not least now our signal chain is so lovely, you can hear everything.
Exactly.
Yeah. Right. We better hurry up.
Are we done?
No, God no. Not even nearly. We better hurry up.
Okay.
Right, let's hurry up. Ran's there. Hello, Ran. Tonez.
Very good. I like it.
The Andy Timmons show was transcendental. Didn't think I'd want one more delay so bad. Can't believe we get to follow with a Simon show. You spoil us.
Yeah. We're just pitching ourselves all day long, every day long. The marks on our arms are just ridiculous. That's why we have.
It's a nice little logo you've got on the arm.
Like
there.
that?
What's that? Is that the
Affected
affected
logo.
brand?
Oh,
yeah,
I've got
that's
it.
nice.
Look, this is the detail. Easy. That's the cider. Look at that. Hang on.
Back a bit.
There you go. Nice.
It's nice. It's a nice logo.
Yeah.
Somebody very talented must have designed that. DS Randlet.
Spoke to Rob today. He's a lovely lad.
DS Randlet. Hello from Vancouver. Or indeed VA. Is that Vancouver or is that Virginia? Maybe it's Virginia, and my apologies if it is neither of those things. Hello from VA. Based on your reaction to my question a few weeks ago, I pulled the trigger on a Mr. Moto, J-Rocket Mr. Moto,
Nice.
reverb and tremolo.
Very nice.
And I couldn't be happier with it. Thanks again.
Fantastic.
Ace. That's a result.
I'm so pleased. Actually, I'm doing a rig at the moment for Phil Manzanera from Roxy Music. They're doing a tour at the moment. And he wants a spring reverb and a pedal. So I need him to try the Mr. Moto. I also need him to try the Catlin Bread. What's that one called?
Oh, yes. Yes, I know the one you mean. I tell you what is good is the Boing.
The Boing's amazing.
Yeah.
That's a great shot. Okay.
From J-Rocket.
Yeah.
Interestingly enough, so setting up some sounds to use with this TS1, I am using the loop because it's an overdrive amp, so you kind of need to use the loop. It's a spectacular loop, by the way. I'm using the Anna Sounds reverb, separate reverb tank, so you can add a spring reverb. Do a video on it, but it really does sound good. If you don't know about that, there's a French company called Anna Sounds that have you can buy a reverb tank with a nice wooden thing on it, just like a standard reverb tank you'd find in the bottom of any guitar amp, and a pedal that has a bunch of controls on it, so the send level, the return level, EQ, and you can have proper spring reverb in pedal form with the tank.
Yeah, beautiful.
You've got to be a little bit careful about where you put the tank. I did drop it in the bottom of the cab and just see too much hum.
Oh, okay.
Because obviously it's susceptible,
of course,
and all of that. So it's actually in a tiny little Schmidt array board, which is pretty cool. Yeah, we'll see if that works. Eagle Ray Rob, I'm thinking of adding a quartermaster to one of the G3 loops for use with multiple boosts, overdrive and distortion pedals. Anything I should keep in mind about this type of setup?
No, it's a really good way to do it. If you so one of the things with the quartermasters is you've got two modes. One, you can just stack them loops normal, but then you've got flip-flop mode. So let's say you've got 4 overdrive pedals and you never use them stacked, you just use one or the other. You put them in flip-flop mode, and then you can have overdrive 1. When you press overdrive 3, it'll turn off overdrive 1. So you only have to hit one button to choose the pedal you want for that sound. It's certainly a thing that I think it's a great way to do it. We've had loads of people do it and enjoy it. Yeah, it's a good thing.
Yeah, nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
And thank you, buddy. I appreciate it.
Daniel Ramirez. Hello, Daniel.
Hey, Daniel.
He says, a math teacher here. It's interesting, isn't it? In the States, it's called math.
Math.
Here, it's called maths.
Right.
Because it's mathematics.
Right. As opposed to...
What's it called in Australia?
Numbers and stuff, mate.
Numbers.
Numbers. Yeah, you get your little calculator out and do some numbers.
I've got 1 unit here, 1 unit here. If my foot got crook and took a rook, how many utes have I got now? Sorry, my Australian seems to come from the East End of London. Spent a bit of time down under.
It's wonderful. It's wonderful.
Yeah. Anyway, Daniel, who knows his math, anyway, finally I have the day off to enjoy my favourite show. I'm using a Ryra Tweed Deluxe for band practice and a 57 Champ as daily practice. Can I just mic the Champ to use in the band? Yeah, absolutely.
Absolutely. It's a great way to do it.
Yeah. The only thing you might need to bear in mind is, depending on how loud your band is, you may need some additional monitoring, because obviously the 57 Champ, loud as it is, you might just want a bit more clarity.
And you'll be driving it differently as well. And when the drums kick in, everything gets louder. Yeah,
because obviously you'll be turning it up more, therefore it will be overdriving more. So whether that works for you or not sure. But yeah, absolutely. What a killer sound.
Wonderful.
What an amazing sound.
Yep.
Just make sure that you can hear it. So if you need an extra wedge, if your band is kind of sensible volume, you won't need that at all, because that 57 Champ is pretty loud.
Yeah. Very nice then, mate.
Paul Matulovic. Hello, Paul.
Hey, buddy.
He says, hello. In preparation for the transatlantic, Paul is coming to an experience day. I've acquired the Gig Rig 2X pack.
Okay.
Do you know what that is?
2X pack.
But for my dum-dum brain, is using an isolator basically like plugging in a daisy chain into a brick, albeit isolated? Yes.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, one power outlet into the isolator into 4 pedals.
Yeah.
So in that sense it is, because you get one power outlet, powers 4 pedals. Everything we said before about just making sure, because what's isolator's got 120 milliamps on each?
135.
135 milliamps on each output. So it's important that none of those pedals requires any more than 135 milliamps. So if you're trying to power a timeline off an isolator, no can do, because it needs 400 and some.
Yeah.
You would need a separate high current adapter for that. But if you're talking about anything with less than 135, which is most normal pedals, certainly all analog pedals, you'll be fine.
Yeah. Beautiful.
Yep. We're looking forward to meeting you, Paul.
Yeah, mate. Yeah. I'll go through any questions of that stuff when you get here as well. That'll be fun.
You feel like an old friend already, so it'll be nice to see you. TSS says, my current pedal board is a phaser, boost, big buff, fuzz face, another boost, and a silencer. I need a delay under £200. What would you suggest? I'm just going to do a quick price check.
Okay.
Oh,
just over?
Oh, you might be able to get one. Boss DD200.
Yeah, there you go.
It's going to cost you a little bit more than 200, but I think it's unbeatable.
Yeah.
Somebody asked me today, actually, in the comments, if you got rid of all your gear and you had 10,000...
Oh, I saw that. That's a good question.
Which 10, is a lot. 10,000, what would you buy? And with a £10,000 budget, my delay choice was a DD200.
Wow. Oh, well done.
Because I'd spend about £6,000 on a Strat and a 335.
Okay.
I'd spend about £3,500 on a used 2-rock.
Okay.
And I would use the remaining £500 to buy a tube screamer, a delay, and a fuzz. And
that's very good.
Done.
Oh, man.
Custom shop telly, matchless. So now you're...
I owe you 300.
No. If you buy used, you've got about £7,000 on there.
Yep. Okay, so I've got to get a board
for £3,000.
For £3,000.
I mean, it's not the hardest of challenges in the world.
No, I'd probably. The delay I'd go for is the Echo system, because I use delay a lot.
I'm going to go outside and cough loudly.
Okay. Because I use delay a lot and I need a lot of flexibility, and I really love the way the Echo system sounds. I would also probably get a tape delay in that budget, because It's one of those sounds that even though I don't use it all the time, man, I would miss if I didn't have a tape delay of some description. I'd just miss it terribly. D&M drive, Page OD, and if I could get a King of Tone in there, I need my flanger, and I'm bust already. So yeah, I need to have a look.
I answered for you and said custom shop telly.
Yep.
DC 30.
Yep.
Some sort of electro harmonics flanger.
Yes.
Some sort of chorus.
Yes.
Probably a DC2 Wazzer. If you couldn't find anything else.
Yep. The Analog Man by chorus, if I could find one. Yep.
Yeah. Delay wise, I said you'd get a Space Echo.
Yes, because I just said it would be, even though I don't use it all the time, man, I would miss it if I didn't have one.
A treble booster and another booster, and you'd probably be done.
Yeah, that'll do it. Yeah, they'd be very happy.
Maybe. If you look up first world problems in the dictionary, it says
of us.
putting together a guitar rig for £10,000 or dollars. Ridiculous. So TSS, we would say the Boss DD200 is great because you can get into all your character delays.
Yeah.
It's got versions of tape, analog, it's got multi-head delays. It's so unbelievably easy to use. Mm-hmm. You've got a master tone control, which is fantastic because you can get those delays to sit out the way. You've got EQ, which is tone, and all the stuff you need, like the feedback, the delay level, and the time, is all on knobs. So you haven't got to go diving around any menus for any of that stuff.
Yeah.
So that would be our first choice.
Yeah,
does a bit of everything really brilliantly well. In a similar vein, the UI is not quite as brilliant, but it sounds great. TC Electronic Flashback 2.
There you go.
Would be another choice, and that is under £200. So Boss DD200 or TC Electronic Flashback 2.
Perfect. Well done.
There you go. Wyatt Louth. Hello, Wyatt. I recently asked your advice on a multi-modulation pedal. Mm-hmm. After much consideration, I've taken the sensible route and bought a Chase Bliss warped vinyl hi-fi and a Script Phase 90.
Come on!
I never knew chorus could be so present. Congratulations.
Yeah, that's
Wyatt.
wonderful, bud. Well done.
That is the grown-ups response, I think. Well done. Thomas Cook.
Hey, Thomas.
Thank you for all the holidays, yeah. Hello, you beautiful ingrown toenails.
That's okay. Yeah, very good.
Any chance for a show on out-of-phase pickups? A big part of Zappa's sound, but I don't know anything about the logistics. Thanks all, and much love from Indiana. Yeah, nice.
Yeah.
Dan's not a fan of out-of-phase pickup sounds.
I've never connected with any sound from out-of-phase pickups, but I've heard some, like all the Queen stuff and all that, it's like you hear that, it's like, oh yeah, that's cool.
So Six String Supplies do, I think I've talked about this before, they do the Jimmy Page drop-in board.
Right.
So you've got all the phase options.
Oh yeah, that's
everything
right.
off one board.
Yeah, right.
I think that's a great shout actually, because if we start with probably the most famous out of phase sound, Peter Green's middle position on the famous Les Paul.
Is that out of phase?
Watch the comments section go crazy.
Okay.
It sounds out of phase.
Okay.
Yeah, the pickup was repaired.
The magnet going the wrong way or something?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Basically.
Right.
Somebody please tell the story in the comment section. Anyway, probably the most famous, what we think of as out of phase sound.
Right.
And then go from there.
Is that the...
Yeah.
That stuff.
And Need Your Love So Bad.
Right, okay.
Yeah, really great. That's a nice idea. Like it. I'll just mention Michael Landau. Again, told this story before. On his, I think it's his most recent studio record called Rock Bottom. The opening track's called Squirrels. And the first guitar solo on that is not only unbelievable, but it starts with an out of phase 335.
Interesting.
Yeah, and then it kicks into like... It's just the most astonishing guitar sound.
Right.
Michael Landau, it's called Rock Bottom, and it's the first track, Squirrels.
I often wonder if a lot of the Aerosmith guitar sounds of
Yeah,
phase things.
he loved it.
Did he?
Yeah.
Okay, there you go.
Yeah, I think Joe Perry was a big fan of that, all that stuff.
Because
Sounds like it anyway.
The solo in Love in an Elevator.
Yeah.
It's just so good. That whole solo section is great. But there's certain things where he almost sounds like a dobro.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like, it's such a cool thing. And he's playing Les Pauls and like, okay, there's something fishy going on there.
Say hello to my dad if you're watching, Dad, after the pub. I remember having a long conversation with my dad once, discussing whether it was Aerosmith or Arrowsmith.
Okay.
My dad thought it was Arrowsmith.
Right.
Yeah.
They make arrows.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I like them.
In many...
Arrows of tone.
It makes more sense, doesn't it?
It does. It
yeah.
does.
There's probably a name for an Aerosmith.
Fletcher?
That's a very sensible suggestion.
I used to do archery in Australia. You have to shoot our own dinner, mate. You have to do it quietly. You didn't want to scare the brews.
I was hoping your boy was going to win Wimbledon yesterday, actually.
Who won?
Djokovic.
Okay.
Yeah.
Who's he?
Some dude, and then he's very successful. And then, but you're Kyrgios, Nick Kyrgios.
Okay.
Is Australian.
Is he good?
He's really good. He's got a bad temper on him.
Yes. There you go.
Yeah.
Was he hot?
He's pretty good looking. Yeah, he played really well, and then he lost his brain.
Oh, did he?
Yeah, and you would just watch Djokovic go. Thanks very much. I'll have that.
Right.
Bit of bat and ball in later. He was on his way back to
Did he do that?
the Outback.
And then he went like that.
Yeah.
Right. Ah. Okay.
Yeah.
6.
Yeah.
Right. Nice.
Touchdown.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I was thinking it would be good if he won, and he didn't. Because then you would win in Wimbledon, and I'd feel happy for you.
Okay.
You don't care.
No.
No. You're happy with your world's best marsupials. You don't need tennis as well.
Yeah. Marsupials and crocs. That's
Anyone know any better marsupials than kangaroos and koalas? Marsupials?
Are they? I don't know. I remember I went to Australia for, what was I there for? I think I was there for my nan's 100th birthday.
There for some crocodile wrestling.
Crocodile. Did I show you the video of my brother took?
Yeah, with a flipping croc trying to get in the boat.
On the boat. It was amazing.
Somebody in the pub told me yesterday a very helpful thing. If you do ever get attacked by a crocodile, what you need to do is just hold their jaws shut.
Oh, because you can do that.
They're good at shutting them.
They're not really good.
They don't really have the muscles to open them. And I was like, oh, I'll remember that
as its jaws are wrapped
swimming off of my leg. I'll just.
Yeah, awesome.
Yeah, sorry, I rudely interrupted you.
No,
again.
no, it's all good. I was saying nothing of any consequence.
Like me most weeks, mate. Andrew. Hello, Andrew. Do you have any opinions on balancing input and master volume? I don't hear much about it, but I prefer on my master up high and then to use the input gain as my overall volume. Is this bad?
No. So not at all.
That is our preferred way of doing it.
Yeah, you're setting you're giving more headroom to the amplifier. So if you're with your input gain turned up, you're creating more gain, and it's going to clip earlier on. But with the master volume turned up, you've just got more headroom, so more before clipping.
Yeah. If you like a cleaner sound, what you're doing is the right way to do it.
Yeah.
If you like an overdriven sound, you would probably do it the other way around, and it's as simple as that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm not old. I'm vintage. Says I believe koala and platypus are both marsupials. If true, I vote platypus.
Yeah.
I saw a platypus in the wild once, and it was just the most beautiful, weird thing.
Are there many platypi, or are all platypi duck-billed platypi?
Yeah, that's what a platypus is. And I mean, there's some really weird animals in Australia.
How
really
do you
bizarre.
turn a duck-billed platypus into a soul singer?
I don't know.
Put it in the microwave and it's Bill Withers.
Very good. Very good. Very good.
He's on fire. Oh, Dad.
Oh, that's what I was going to say. I went to my friend's house in Brisbane for dinner. I was there just like overnight, and we gave him a call. Yeah, come over. So we had dinner. We're having dinner on their balcony. They live in Paddington in Brisbane, and it was like a night zoo. Honestly, I've never like the sounds just from a balcony, and it was just you know possums running around and koalas and stuff, and then you could hear spiders attacking something, and it was amazing. So yeah, the wildlife there's pretty wonderful.
Yeah. Okay, so Paul Lee's come in and said apparently the platypus lays eggs, so it can't be a marsupial.
No, but that's the strangeness, right? It lays eggs, but it breastfeeds its young.
Marsupial's pouch. Isn't it?
Maybe. Yeah, the duck-billed platypus.
Apparently a platypus is a monotreme.
Monotreme, there we go. That's
and
what
a kangaroo is a marsupial.
There you go.
As is a koala.
Tim Chalmers, That Platypus Show.
Yeah.
Very good.
Yeah. Okay, so...
Lee Tyndall says, I love these guys. Mick, we better hurry. Also, Mick 10 minutes later, a koala's marsupials.
Sorry. I think it's important, isn't it? I mean, we need to talk about the issues of the day, and if you talk about the actual issues, it's too depressing. So we may as well talk about koalas and platypi and kangaroo. Darren Exley. Hello, Darren.
Hey, Darren.
He said, hey, Kings of Toes. No question, Kings of Toes. I like it.
Very good.
No question. I saw my favourite band, an Aussie band, Ballpark Music, a few weeks ago. First live gig I've seen since COVID.
Oh, lovely.
4, point them, cranked AC30s pointed at me, and I remember what it was all about. Love
Come
from
on.
Sydney. Yeah.
Come on. Awesome.
Come on.
Yeah. Going to see Crowded House, going to see the Oils with people who are just so deliriously joyful to be in that environment, and it's like, yeah, I remember this is what it's all about. Beautiful.
Yeah, we're right with you, Darren. Dan and I have been doing more things out and about just recently, and it feels flipping good. Oh, by the way, if anyone's still with us and you're handy to the southwest, Ainsley Lister is playing at the Cheese and Grain in Frome on the 5th of August, Friday the 5th of August. I'm going to get up and play a bit with him.
Awesome.
And it'll be a lovely time. So if you want to see Ainsley and hear his lovely tones in his band, 5th of August in Frome at the Cheese and Grain. I believe tickets are on sale now. So
I'll be there in spirit. I think I'll be in Crete.
Ah.
Yeah, at that time.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
Be good.
Yeah, I was supposed to be somewhere else, but I'm going to do that instead.
Lovely.
Yeah. David Butler. Hello, David.
Hey, David.
Good day from Australia.
G'day,
Legends. Mick, thanks for the Lola pickup recommendation. There's formed my Epiphone Sheraton that had Duncan Seth Lovers in it. We talk about pickup tweaks being the last 5% of tone. It was much more in this case.
Yeah, wow. Fantastic.
Nice.
Well done, mate.
I've actually got some ready to go into my 335, and while I was with Matt having my Strat refretted on Thursday, I also picked up a loom. They do pre-made looms, so I got one from them.
Brilliant.
They do a nice job of that. So hi to George, who made it while I was there. Thank you, George. Sub Rosa, Mick, curious about the refin on the 61. Why was it done and what was it before? Sub Rosa, it was Sunburst originally, 61. And Peter, who owned it, it was a working guitar. He toured with it, recorded loads of stuff with it. It went all over the world and all of that. He stripped it at some point, so it went back to natural. And then when he gave it to Simon, his son, Simon had it refinished back in the original Sunburst.
Right.
So, yeah, that's the story there.
Lovely.
Ranzer, I just got a nice deal on a used Strymon Night Sky. Do you have any tips?
Oh, yeah. Night Sky. A really creative reverb platform. Read the manual and then just explore. It's got some it's like the reverb version. That's not the what's the gold one? The the big gold one they do.
Yeah.
It must be here.
That thing.
The Volante. It's the same platform as the Volante, so it's very, turn knobs and make things happen. You can get some. It's really easy to get some really out there sounds on it, and it sounds great. But you can also, with a bit of twiddling, just get some really lovely, simple ambient tones going.
Yeah.
So, yeah, the extreme stuff is really simple, but with a little bit of deft tweaking, the simple stuff is really, really beautiful. It's a very powerful reverb thing. So
Yeah.
take some time to explore it. Yeah, it's really
I'm normally
great.
a vehement anti-manual reader.
But we had to dive into the manual.
We
for that
had
one.
to read it for that because the controls do really unique and different things in terms of the parameters they affect on the reverbs, and the way they stack together is significant as well. So, blooming cool though.
Yeah,
I'm
really
not, as you might know, I'm not really into that far out stuff, but it doesn't take long to dial in a couple sounds, just get completely lost in it.
Yeah, that's great.
Play fewer notes and just let it take you over.
I love the Big Sky. Actually, the first ever show we did featured the Big Sky reverb. Super creative way of approaching reverb, and the Night Sky simplifies it in one way and takes it a step further in another. Yeah, really lovely. Yeah. I keep trying to get hold of Pete because I'd love to do an interview with Pete Celli.
Yeah, from Strymon.
From Strymon.
Yeah,
he's such an interesting guy. That'd be a great chat.
Dan Cobley, Dan, thank you,
Dan.
and everyone else for your generosity tonight. It's very much appreciated. Thank you. Dan says, I'm 2 weeks into being a first-time dad.
Oh, congratulations, mate. Are you getting any sleep?
He said, I'm soon quitting my job to just gig and have free time in the week for her. How lovely.
Wow. That's mate.
How lovely. Would love a TPS open mic night or a jam night if you ever could. Have a drink on me for keeping me occupied with vids during the night feeds.
Oh, lovely, mate. Yeah, that'd be fun.
It would be fun. Funnily enough, there's a nice venue here called the Treehouse in Frome.
Oh, yeah.
Which we did a gig with Andy, and I did think about something like that there, actually.
Be fun.
Be pretty cool. Yeah. Yeah, maybe. Ole Martin Holter. Or indeed, Ole Martin Holter. I was watching Friday's episode late at night while polishing the frets on my new Gretsch G5422 TG.
Lovely.
Suddenly I started welling up while Andy was playing, then Dan went as well. Such a great episode. It's all about the music.
Absolutely.
It is. Thank you, Ole. Mojo says, I want to go wet dry. I've got a 76 Fender Bassman. Yes, you do. And a 60s Kalamazoo Reverb 12. Thoughts? Yes.
Awesome.
Don't know how powerful the Kalamazoo is.
That'd be the dry amp for me.
Yeah.
And the bassman for the wet amp.
Yeah.
Split it, and yeah. Gain stages, split, Kalamazoo, your wet sounds into the bassman. That'd be where I'd start. I think that'd be a really, really great way to do it.
I'm just finding what the Kalamazoo amp is. Oh, it's really small. Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you might have a bit of an issue with headroom. 12 watts. Well, maybe not. Maybe not. So depending on how loud you play.
Yeah.
What he just said.
Yeah. Yeah. Good luck, mate. It's really fun. Really fun way to do it.
But yeah, we would say run the wet stuff through the basement, because then you'll get most clarity.
Oh, Chris Quinnen with a Mad Max quote. Dan, this is the Night Rider. Think of him when you look at the night sky. Oh, man, that was great. What a great film.
Con Shawnery says Kinnaman are creating marsupial versions of their pickups. Con Shawnery is one of the best spoonerisms I've heard in a long time.
Great.
Nice. Greg D says, are two called platypi? Yeah, anything that's more than one is. We like to use the correct Latin plurals around here. Telechi.
Squid eye.
Mortal wombat, I've just read. That's funny.
Very good. Very good.
Jason Carter, thank you. Cleft Turnip wants to know which Fender amp has the most headroom.
Two twins.
One of the old Showmans, probably.
Oh, right. Okay.
Yeah, the Supersonic 100 has quite a lot of headroom.
Yep.
Basically, anything that's 100 watts or more. Some of those 70s and 80s twins could have insane headroom.
150 watts.
Yeah.
Super tweaky.
They've done 15-inch versions for steel guitar, probably have a lot of headroom. But yeah, one of the bigger twins, or indeed the old Jules Showman, probably is the one.
Lovely.
Yeah, there may have been others, but Paul Matunovic.
Hey, mate.
Paul says, do Midnight Oil still use original CE1s or a suitable replacement?
So they haven't used CE1s since the early 80s. They went to VB2s quite early on because of the preamp thing we talk about. Even though speaking to Martin, he said he'd love to get the CE1 back on there and put it in a loop because he doesn't want to go through the preamp the whole time, but he wants that preamp to be on, do the CE1 thing.
Yeah.
So yeah, currently he's using a Waza VB2.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, there you go. And apparently, says Paul, that Kruang Bin's instruments have been found.
Oh, that's great news.
Win.
Oh, brilliant. Oh, thanks for letting us know, mate. That's great.
Duncan Plexico wants to say, thanks for all you do. NAMM 2023 TPS get together. Yeehaw. Have a great week.
Let's do it.
I think we could do that.
Yeah, let's make that happen.
I think we could do that.
Yep. I honestly think the TPS weekend somewhere it would be really fun.
Yeah.
And we'll get, get a bunch of pedal guys down there as well. Get Thorpe and a bunch of, and have a massive geek out for a weekend.
If Catherine is watching this now, she is throwing things at the screen.
Yeah.
Going.
Catherine, don't worry. I'll sort it.
She is now just
laughing at the screen.
Thrown a glass through the screen. Yeah. Yeah. It's funny actually how much administrative work, shall we say, that even something as simple as experience they cause. It's really astonishing how much email traffic and stuff it causes. So I kind of like it.
I think it'd be great fun.
I like it.
So Tin Spirits supported Marillion on one of their weekends. And man, it's such a joyous environment to be around for that weekend. We were in Holland, and it was... I remember going to... They had a Marillion pub quiz, and like 200 Marillion fans in this pub, and someone was saying, what was the instrument used in the bridge of the secret track on, and so I was going, well, an oud, that was an oud, and they're so deep in their Marillion knowledge. It was just wonderful. But that'd be great. Yeah, it'd be great to do something like that.
Okay. Seed planted. Philip Buxton. I managed to get a passable to the uninitiated Johnny Be Good in rehearsal for the first time this weekend. It looked like Everest to a trail walker 2 years ago. Huge thanks for being part of the journey.
Oh, mate, that's awesome.
Do you have a riff you thought you'd never hit? That, first of all, Philip, nice one for doing that.
Awesome work, mate. Well done.
There might be people watching thinking, oh, Johnny Be Good is actually really hard to play right.
Yeah.
Really, really hard to play right.
No, well done, buddy. Yeah, loads.
I never thought I'd be able to play this as solo in Rosanna.
And you nailed it beautifully.
Well, the first bit. Loads of stuff.
Loads of stuff.
Sing and Play Manic Depression by Jimi Hendrix.
Yeah.
Sing and Play Taxman by the Beatles.
Oh,
those are the
great
riffs.
Shout. Yeah.
Once you add a bit of vocal in, it's quite tough.
Yeah.
I still can't sing and play Life in the Fast Lane.
Okay.
Do a little Life in the Fast Lane.
Yeah.
Still can't do that.
That's different every chorus. What the guitars are doing in that as well. Yeah. Off the top of my head, I mean, one thing I'd always wanted to do, I didn't know if it was possible, but you know, the solo in Owner of a Lonely Heart, and once I got into it, I was like, yeah, we can do this. It was great fun. Yeah, but you always have those little steps in your journey. I remember learning a Highland Wedding, which was Steve
Rothery?
No, Deep Purple, recent guitar player in Deep Purple.
Oh.
Dixie Dregs,
him.
Steve Morse.
Morse, yeah.
That's
His dad was a detective.
Oh man, that has gone straight to my head. That Thatcher's thing. So obviously
The
still can't
drinking
play
while
it.
playing show is going to be rubbish. Then he's had like a third of a can of cider, and
It'll be a short show.
he's anybody's.
Yeah. And anyway, there was a point where I could play that, and I remember because I learned some classical stuff just by ear, because what I was trying to do was separate those two lines,
Yeah.
that stuff, and getting all the anyway, all that stuff.
Yeah.
And I remember
Blackbird.
hearing that first time, going, I'll never be able to do that. And then like 3 weeks later, getting to the end of it, going, oh yeah. Cool.
It's the work. We said this last week, I think, but the work is worth it.
Yeah.
It really is.
And it's so
Practice-
much fun.
Practice makes better.
Yeah. When you disappear into that, and you get so minute about it, and it's like, it's really fun.
I'm having to learn some stuff that's. I mean, I thought the TPS gig was hard enough. Stuff that's well out of my comfort zone. I'm having to learn some stuff for a gig in August that is totally out of my comfort zone. All keyboard chords. And it's bending my brain, but what happens is the more you do it, the better you get at learning stuff.
Yeah.
And as a
Absolutely.
I'm going to become an advocate of always trying to learn something new all the time.
Yeah. Beautiful.
Yeah, good on you though, Philip. That's awesome to hear. There's no feeling like it, is there? Victor Lopez. Hi DNM. How can I make my telly less trebly when playing a solo? I use a boost into a TS9 and I feel the tone is just treble. Also, do you use delay in every solo? My amp doesn't have reverb.
Okay. Tone control is your friend.
There you go, Victor. You
Yep.
got it right there. Just roll it back about half or a quarter and that treble will dissipate nicely.
Yep. Become a big fan of the tone control since Mick and I have started messing around with stuff. It's really helpful. There are moments I'll build my core tone so that when I boost it, it doesn't have all that treble in it to start with. But there are times.
Steve Rothery's on.
No. Oh,
He
that's
says,
amazing.
Stephen Rothery says, thanks for the Marillion convention mention. Convention mention. Tin Spirits was a really great band. Oh, bless you, Steve. Thank you for
mate.
that.
Yeah. Oh, that was so much fun. We'll never forget that. It was brilliant. Yeah, and actually, shout out to the Stephen Rothery band. So, Stephen's doing another band, his own stuff, as well as Marillion stuff, which is phenomenal. Yeah, wow, that's amazing.
No way.
Yeah, but it was so it was such a great. Everyone was there, had so much in common. They've had people meet there and get married, and I think. Correct me if I'm wrong, Steve, but I think 2 people got married.
Awesome.
And Steve Hogarth did the
No
married
way.
them. Yeah. Just amazing bunch of people. So yeah,
Too cool.
really great.
So yeah, Victor, you'll get great results just turning the tone control on your guitar down. That will you'll get. I mean, it will go to complete mud. So you should be able to do that no trouble. Do we use delay on every solo? No. If you watch the show with Andy Timmons on Friday, you will have seen that Andy does use delay in every solo, and he uses his delay. You say that your amp doesn't have reverb. He uses his delay very much in a reverb fashion, so the repeats sort of mash into one another and become a reverby sound. So it is possible to do that. Dan and I tend to use a slightly more varied approach to delay, from things like really super short doubling delays, which can be brilliant for solos because they can really punch you out of the mix. through to slapback, which you might hear in rock and roll, through to kind of what we would call a mid tempo delay, which would be, I don't know, anything between like 250 and 400. That's most guitar delays are kind of in there somewhere. And then really long delays you've got to be a bit more careful with, and you need to turn them down a bit and get them out the way. But back to the top of the answer to the question, that's exactly what Andy Timmons does. And they all start becoming this sort of bed of sound as they all crash into one another. And it's a beautiful thing.
Actually, Steve, if you're still on, obviously we'd love to have you on the show, mate. And
100%.
We've talked about it before. Let's find a time and get that sorted, because that would just be brilliant. There's the way that Steve mixes his amps. Steve's again a really beautiful melodic player, and he's found his sound, which is really wonderful. And it marries those technologies, that the rack stuff and the pedal stuff. And it's really great to get
some
them on.
great questions to ask and learn about there then.
Yeah.
Final question tonight is Whit Anderson. Hello, Whit.
Hey, woo. Like that?
That was good. That was actually pretty good, Dan. He says, greetings from Hopewell, New Jersey. It was a moving show on Friday. Very inspiring. Love you guys.
Oh, thank you, buddy.
We love you too, man.
Yeah, man.
Thanks for being here. And thank you to everyone else for being here for the chat. It's always an energizing experience.
Yeah, love it. Beautiful. Can run a bit long sometimes, but
oh well,
it's brilliant fun.
Imagine if we didn't like talking, Dan.
Yeah.
So this Friday's show, will be Simon Jarrett of Kingsley Amplifiers. And Simon's brought a couple of things to show us and have a general talk about gain staging, effects loops, line level, signal level, instrument level, and just phase inverters.
Yeah.
It's really fascinating conversation.
Super fascinating. Talking about, preamps and versus instrument level. Oh, yeah. Wonderful.
Yeah. And a few pennies dropped for me actually in that show. So we hope you enjoy it. And obviously there's some unbelievable playing from Simon as usual. And some flapping along from me and Dan.
Indeed.
So happy days. Right.
Brilliant. Cheers, everyone. Thanks for joining us. Really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Have a great week. Enjoy Friday's show, and we'll see you next week on VCQ.
We will.
Thank you, BV.
I'm trying to think if there's anything I have to remember, but it's too late for that now.
No.
It's too late, Danny, now it's too late. Oh, we really did try to remember it. Some things inside is fried, and I can't hide.